Looks like all systems are go. Hi everybody, and welcome to the Keshe Plasma Reactor group for Tuesday, January 9th, 2018. I said it right, I didn't say 2017. Getting training here. Okay, I think we're ready to begin today's festivities. And let me see, we've got several people in our participants today, and I'm wondering if anybody has anything in particular they would like to bring up or present at this time. So I am empty-handed, see?
Rick, I was just wondering what if you could tell us a bit about what a free plasma is. You know, the way you would get the...
Just realized I didn't have my headphones on. I have to make a little alteration here. So hang on here, Jay. Alright, now I'm hooked up it again. Go ahead, Jay, you were saying?
No, I was just wondering, Rick, do you know the way where you get the star formation and it creates a free plasma in the center? I was just trying to understand what a free plasma is, or what it can be used for, or what's the point of creating a free plasma?
Well, what do you think it is? What you must have some idea because you've been around a while and you've heard the term obviously quite a bit.
I've heard the term, but I still don't really understand it.
Okay, well, what about let me see, what's a comparison? Something like you probably noticed if you have two speakers set up in a stereo, and if you move toward one speaker, you'll hear mostly that speaker. If you move toward the other side, you'll hear mostly the other speaker. So if you go right in between, you'll get an even sound from both speakers. That would be like you're in the free plasma mode, the free plasma zone in between, where there's a meeting of the fields, where it's even, where it's that's that figure eight kind of idea that's often used by Mr. Keshe and other people, from one object to the other, one person to the other, one plasma to the other. You have this figure eight interaction if they are of similar strengths. So you can imagine, if you extrapolate that idea, and if that is true of virtually everything, like that might be true. We've seen with the charged spheres here in the last couple of weeks how charged spheres can separate, because and find a different position because of the fields in between them. So somewhere in between these two spheres, we don't have two spheres other than big ones to show right now. Oh yeah, I do. So somewhere between, say, these two spheres, you might put it down so I can gesticate better. So somewhere between these two spheres will be a midpoint, or it may not even be the midpoint. If one is stronger than the other, it could push the midpoint over more toward the weaker one if there's a stronger one, and so on. So at some point there'll be a crossing of that figure eight where it's like almost a null point, but it's actually the most potent in a way, because that's where all the fields cross. And so then if we had three items, three spheres, volunteer sphere, let's see, okay, this guy will have to do, I guess, close enough. So then, well, I've got the whole setup here. Let's look at that instead. I'll improvise. in this example. So then with 3 spheres, you can see there's 3 spheres here. So the idea is that instead of having a point in between 2 spheres that's the interactive point, or the it's almost a null point, but we call it the free plasma in between, something else that's created from the interaction of the fields of the 2 spheres, let's say. And you could imagine that these 2 spheres would have an interaction, these 2 spheres would have an interaction, and these 2 spheres would have an interaction. But when we get 3, then the idea is that with 3 spheres you create a free plasma in the center. And
Rick,
because
would it be
there's 3...
like the eye of a storm type of thing?
Yeah, basically you could look at it that way. In fact, many storms, say tornadoes, they would come. There might be multiple tornadoes actually operating, and they have like a central core, but there'll be several tornadoes can feed into one core, and can actually. Sorry, I gotta change my camera setting here. Just notice it's flickering. Just a second here. Get this out of the way, and I have to get that set up.
It sort of reminds me of a futuristic way of like teleportation or something. You know, you've got the free plasma in the middle, and if I had one here, could you send me down something and it'll come out through my one?
Well, this is basically the idea, yeah, and this is what we experimented with 3 years ago now, or whenever it was, when Mr. Keshe had set up in Italy in the lab there a reactor set up with the 4 reactors, and in a specific combination with that was the setup at that time. And many of us around the world, at least half a dozen people, also had their maggrav, or their star configuration, I guess you call it, their rotating reactors set up, and we're running them at the same time. And this was during the 129 Tesla, supposed 120, what was called the 129 Tesla demonstration, where Mr. Keshe apparently produced a 129 Tesla magnetic field, which is basically a world record, especially when you consider the small amount of energy that was used. But the reactors were running for like days and days, basically. But at a specific time, we were all focusing on our reactors, and with the concept of interconnecting, and it had to do with the free plasma as a way of connecting. And that's like what you said, that once you create that free plasma, then you've got something which is non-tangible. It's not physicality anymore. So we're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. It's a free plasma is of a different dimension. It's a combination of the fields, not just a combination of physicality. So once you have a free plasma, then that free plasma can get, say, manipulated or altered according to, like, the 3rd reactor, the 4th reactor up here, for example, will change the free plasma from, say, in the center of these 3, and might draw it upward to the center of all 4. Or if it was an opposite rotation, perhaps it would even drive the free plasma downward, depending on the particular effects that are going on. So the idea being with different ganses, or different, not necessarily ganses, but different strengths of plasmas, can interact and cause that free plasma in between, and then we can do something with that. That's like the connector. And if you consider the idea that we can also have free plasma inside of ourselves, because we're basically GANs reactors, and we can figure that out. We are plasma beings that can communicate through plasma, and that's the whole thing about it. Once you've created a plasma, then you set up essentially by definition, you set up a communication pathway as well.
Oh, thanks, Rick. That's for a bit more understanding. Pretty cool, actually.
Can anybody else say something about that, a different interpretation?
Could I add, we may be halfway of creating a new soul sort of thing.
Well, yes, it's probably more than halfway. I think the free plasma is actually what we could consider is the soul, because if you think about it, think about the idea, for example, this phrase that Mr. Keshe has used quite a bit, called the soul of the physicality. Now, what does that mean, the soul of the physicality? And we pretty much know what the physicality is. It's the physicality body that we normally see and all that's entailed with that. And we understand that a soul can reside inside that body, possibly in the center of the brain function there. The soul of the physicality is like the sum of all of the souls of the cells of the body. So it's like the totality of that, and it has a center, but it's not necessarily a physical center, in the same way that say all of these cells of our liver makes up this organ, and it has a soul, you could say. It's got its own entityness, it's got its own Coulomb barrier, its own shape that it has, but you would be hard pressed to find the center of it. Where would the center of it be? Yet you could say there is a soul of the liver, a soul of any of the organs, or you could say each of the cells of those organs could have a soul, and so they add up to create the soul of the liver, for example, which is essentially is the center. It's the center of gravity, in the same way that, like this mouse has a center of gravity somewhere in the center of it. You could sort of measure it and balance it all out and find that point and so on. But you can also just feel it, because everything feels like it moves from its center of gravity. So even an odd-shaped object will have a center of gravity. So it could also have a soul in the way this mouse has a soul. It has a certain essence about it, a certain beingness, just from its shape and its usage and various attributes that it has. It has a certain something about it. It's different than another different shaped mouse, or another mouse that does a different function, and so on. Some of them are quite cute, and some of them are fairly ugly. Maybe they're different souls, if we were to judge them in that way. I don't know how you actually judge the soul of a mouse other than this kind of mouse, especially an inanimate, supposedly inanimate object. What does that mean?
We can compare it with the formation of a maggrav when you interact with two fields and in the triangle you got three new formations, and in the four-sided polyhedron you got 12, the 12 apostles, which form the 13th soul in the center.
How'd you get to 12 from the... you're
Well,
talking about a
each
tetrahedron like
in a
this, basically?
polyhedron, you got an interaction between each one. You got a new... Down at the bottom,
Oh,
you had 3, and in
right.
each side you got 3. So 3 fours are 12. Do you get that?
Okay, I see what you're saying. So there's... since there's 4 sides and 3 interactions on each side, you might say.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Or, on the other hand, you've got probably 4 times 3 times 2 numbers of interactions between the 4 reactors as well, which would be 24, which is
Yeah. I
interesting
didn't
as
want
well.
to push it that much.
It's hard enough to keep track of 2 of these things at once, I'll tell you. I'm having a hard time keeping it all running, keep the show running here.
It also goes as how it's up above is down below. You've always got 12 interactions, which create the 13th new one. Huh?
Right, okay. That's an interesting way to look at it as well.
By the way, did you read the chat there? We got a 7.8 earthquake near Honduras.
Yes, I saw that before the meeting here. And actually, it's quite a run of earthquakes. We've had a, let me see, it started with a 4.7 in Japan earlier today, and it went to 4.9, a 5.4, 4.3, a 5.2, a 5.0, then that 7.6 in the Honduras, 5.0 in Chile, 4.3, 4.5, 4.6, 4.5, 5.1, and 4.9. That's just all in the last hour or two here.
Yeah.
So yeah, things are heating up on the planet, you might say.
And Mr. Keshe had mentioned that we had to have a parallel movement in the north between Chile and Argentina, the north there. And so we got the trigger there also.
Yes, true, yes. Maybe we can have a look at the earthquake map here and briefly have a look at that.
I could share Earthquake 3D with you, Rick.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're allowed to share those or not. Is that copyrighted? Or I go with the U.S. Geological, which is...
It's a free program you can download, so I don't know whether that makes any difference.
No, not if not if the images are copyrighted to that program, and you have to use the program and not broadcast it and stuff like that. So I would have to look at it first. I'm pretty sure the other earthquake thing here is cool to use, but you could be right. It could be fine.
Yeah, I have no idea whether it's copyrighted.
Anyway, we can see with this one. You should be able to see it there now, I think. This is just the U.S. Geological Service, and you can see when I zero in, it's in the Honduras area, in this Gulf of Honduras, and the big one was there, the 7.6, and there was a series of other earthquakes that seemed to follow that, which on top of it, of course, there were several. And then I've noticed that a lot of the earthquakes in the last day or so are right on these fault lines. We've got them right along Japan by the fault lines there. And there were several other ones earlier today that were right on the fault lines, as well as this major one is actually right on the fault line that goes through Cuba, and it seems to cut right through Central America there under Mexico, and which is what, Guatemala and Honduras. And it's interesting, if it makes you think, if that cracked right across there, that would be a separation of North and South America, essentially, through Guatemala and Honduras. If that, can't imagine that it would actually split, but they have had a lot of earthquakes right there in Mexico, in this bay, in the last month or so. That was where the major earthquake was. That they had quite a few people that were killed from that one. And if you see the way this line goes from the big one to here in this area, it sort of splits North America, actually. What I'm watching is more up in this area, because I live on Vancouver Island, which is here, and there's supposed to be the Cascadia fault, which is ready to let go every 300 years, and it's overdue, and that'll produce a large tsunami on the coast of the US mostly, but parts of Canada as well will be hit with that. So anyway, that's the earthquake update, such as it is. Any questions or comments about that?
I was just thinking, I'll have to hold on if South America sort of moves along and turns around a bit, as Mr. Keshe said. I'll be traveling quite a bit.
Well, it might be easier to travel with a new canal through the Americas.
Yeah, but I mean, the way that I'm right in the middle of South America, so
Yeah.
I'll be moving around.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what'll happen. Anyway, let's carry on here. I don't want to get into it too much, because it's hard to predict what's going to happen that way. Suffice to say, they seem to be predicting that there will be more earthquake action this year, and remains to be seen.
If you listen to Dutch Sense's channel, he predicts the earthquakes pretty well every day. He's got a live stream going, and he's seems to be on top of it.
What's he saying about this latest one? Anything that you've heard? Or?
I haven't listened to him for a few days, so I don't know what about this one, but it's not in a spot he normally forecasts an earthquake for, so this might be an oddball one. I don't know.
Right. Jay asks, does the increase of smart devices and magnetic fields have an effect on the environment or add to earthquakes?
I don't think so. It's more the energy coming from the sun and stuff like that, and planetary alignments, and the gravitational effect from the planetary alignments, and the coronal hole streams, and all that kind of stuff has got a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I don't think.
And then, if you listen to Dutch Sense, you get the deep earthquakes coming from below, and then if you get a deep earthquake, you're going to get stronger earthquakes on either side of it, and all this kind of stuff. So you can make all kinds of predictions, and then the energy travels along the fault lines from one part of the Earth to the other. So you can get deep earthquakes in the Philippines, and then it travels all across through northern India to Iran, into Turkey, and then up through Italy, and and then it ends up in the mid-Atlantic ridge or something. And then it also flows the other way across the states to the Atlantic and stuff. So if you listen to that sense, he explains all that stuff all the time. So it's quite interesting. He's predicting earthquakes, but all the scientists around say, "Oh, it can't be done." But he's doing it all the time, so he's on to something.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good way of going about it. Peter, you mentioned there's a lot that the USGS is not reporting on Cascadia. Is there something you want to say about that, or? No, Peter? Your microphone's not open if you do.
They're pretty shallow also. They're 10 kilometers below
Yeah.
level.
Yeah, there was a tsunami warning out of that one as well. There's a 0.3 meter up to 1 meter tsunami warning for many places in that surround that bay area. That's just good surfing. Oh, I see Peter's testing the microphone there. So, okay. If you want to say something later, let me.
No,
Hello?
I got it.
Oh yeah, we hear you there. Hi, Peter.
Okay, so I watch Dutch Sense all the time, and what he's been talking about with plate transfers and everything is that it's nearly instantaneous. Like it can go across continents within minutes, and it is right about how the deep earthquakes you can expect another magnitude or so higher on the shallower ones that are after it, but he always mentions about, especially with the Cascadia fault line, is that the USGS is actively not reporting it. He's talked about it a few times where the European and Mexican seismic agencies would pick up an earthquake on the fault and it would just disappear, and the USGS has been reducing magnitudes as well, is the other thing that Dutch always talks about. He pretty much just says, prepare for the West Coast here, but nothing. It doesn't sound like it's super imminent.
Okay, thanks for that update. Okay, anything else about earthquakes, or shall we move on here? Going once, going twice, sold. Okay, out of earthquakes and into goodness knows what. Lee, do you have something you want to show this week?
Sure.
All right. Let me just get you pinned up here and see what you got going. There we go.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes.
we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Jay. What do you want?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I just had a hard time getting through to try to speak, but I'll wait my turn. I'm sorry, I just got through.
Okay, good. Yes, we can hear you there now. Thanks.
Okay, should I wait my turn or should I speak now?
Was it something about the earthquakes or something about a new subject?
Yes, it's a totally different subject, but really, it's not about earthquakes, no.
Can you hang on for a bit, or do you need to?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll hold on. Thank you.
Hold on a bit. We'll get you after Lee here then. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
Oh, and one thing, Rick, if I may, I have something to talk about with independent energy developments as well. I'll be after Jay
After
there.
Jay. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Peter.
Excellent.
All right.
Yeah,
Lee.
so I was down at my computer repair shop here last week, and talking with the boys down there. They had these 3D printers set up there, and they're gonna try and change their business from computer repair to 3D printing. But I also noticed they had this sign up against the wall called the Wand Shop, and I started asking him about it. He says, "Oh yeah, last summer we had this wizarding event in Okotoks, Alberta, where we were the wand shop. We were making these wands, 3D printing them like crazy, and they were expecting about 5,000 people to come to the town, and but 18,000 people came instead. So they really had
Wait a minute. Wands?
real good
You mean,
event.
What do you mean wands?
Well, they
You mean
had it
like
like
magic wand things?
Yeah, like Hogwarts wands or Harry Potter wands. So they had like
Okay.
wizarding days in the town.
Expelliarmus.
So
Oh.
all the different stores and stuff that did something, something along the witches and wizard line kind of thing. I'm not sure. I missed out on it. I didn't attend, so I have to get it next year. But I sort of said, well, I could make a wooden wand, and so I made myself a wooden wand. And but I said, then I got to thinking, well, why don't I make it a real magic wand? And I got my the coil from the middle of my health bands I've been making, and I embedded it in the handle of the wand, and of course extend the pin all the way to the end here. So I got a real magic wand here. So peace and love to everybody watching.
I love it. Peace and love, or else.
Yeah. So just think if you get some 8-year-old kids get a hold of these things and they start going around healing, getting rid of pains, and pain be
Yeah.
gone.
There
Now,
you go.
And also, I think just embed a nicely shaped clear quartz crystal in the tip of that, and have the little prong at the end of where the wire comes out embedded into the ass end of the crystal.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, you
possibly.
can do all
Lots
kinds of things.
Yeah, you could have a
Yeah.
jewel encrusted one, and so on.
Maybe we can teach the kids they gotta put the intent into it, and that intent's gotta come from the center of your brain. So we're teaching them how to use their soul to put out intent.
Well, they can certainly activate that probably easier than we can, especially with a
That's what I
magic
was
wand.
thinking.
Does that look like the one from Harry Potter? I'm not quite familiar with the Harry Potter ones,
No,
but
I mean,
this
there's
is
hundreds of different designs and shapes.
this
I,
is of
I
your
just
own
did this
design,
freehand
basically.
and lathe. I didn't even have a pattern to go off of. So
Right, it's got a nice look to it though, and it probably handles pretty good, so to speak.
yeah, and
What does
this
the
one
end?
I
What does the end look like? The butt end there. You got a big hole where you put the thing in.
no I hollowed it out in the middle and glued the two halves together. Okay,
Oh,
as
okay.
as opposed to drilling a hole all the way through.
Right, I got you. Okay. Hmm.
So
Wow. Cool.
so. But I hollowed it out too big in the middle for this first one. That's why the handle's a little too big. Next one I'll hollow it out a little bit less, and then I can make it a little skinnier.
Oh yeah.
This one's a little on the thick side, maybe, but no, it's good. Good
Hey, it looks good. Seems to work
shape.
good. There's
So,
probably
anyway,
people already being healed at home here just watching this show.
all your pains be gone.
There you go. A freebie for anyone that happens to be listening. That's
So
great.
anyway, that's my fun project for this week.
Very good, Lee. Very good. Nice. And is that it then for today's
Yep.
stuff? All right. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Okay, Jay, do you want to say what you wanted to say?
yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. And I just want to start out by saying that what I'm about to talk about, just asking for one chance to prove it. And it's because of you guys and Dr. Keshe that I believe this discovery is possible. And it's really mind blowing to me. What I've discovered is when I freeze the plasma ice, I am capturing alien images. And I have close to 1,000 of them, and I want to share them with you guys. These are
Yes, now I
extraterrestrial.
remember. Right. Yeah, well, that's going to be kind of hard to push across on us here, but if you want to try, I think we could be willing to have a look at that. You have to tell us what you've done and how you've done it and all that kind of thing. Are you ready to do that
Right.
now?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Are you guys familiar with any kind of extraterrestrial research capturing them with any kind of water imaging or there are several of us that are several people that are doing it, and I just recently found out about them, and they're also capturing alien images. I know that's what I'm saying. This is hard to believe, and I guess you're. Or have you had
Well,
anyone
yeah,
share
people
this
have been
experience?
capturing alien images and images of Jesus and everything else in toast for a long time, ever since toasters have been around.
Right, but not.
So,
This is not. Yes, okay.
how far do
Um,
you want to go with that? That's the
no, no,
question
no.
here.
Just yes, because what it is this is what I'm trying to explain. I feel is a direct connection related to the work you're doing.
Hmm.
The images that I'm capturing, for instance, the one of the first images that I captured, and that's why I'm willing to share the images that I'm speaking of. The first ones were of spears. I have millions of spears coming from before impacting the ice, and then the spears impacting the ice. And it took me a while to figure out the meaning of that.
And what do you mean
And now I know the
spears
meaning.
impacting the ice? Do you have pictures you want to show or something you want to
Yes, yes.
send? Okay,
I
go ahead.
actually posted them. I already sent you some of my images, but the person that received them, they said they didn't really understand what I was trying to post.
Yeah,
But
that was
I'll
me.
post.
That was me. I didn't understand any of the images because you didn't explain any of them. You just sent them and said they were alien pictures, and none of them made any sense to me whatsoever. So, do you have your
Right.
pictures that
Okay.
you want to share now
Well, I
and
don't have
explain
because what
them?
it is
Okay, do you want
I
me
don't
to look
have
them
my.
up and share them then? Is that what you want me to do?
Yes, you see,
Okay.
what the images that I'm receiving, right, are so geometrically uh, uh, connected. I mean, this is advanced civilization knowledge that is sending this information, and I really would and that's why I'm saying, if you could just please give me a chance to really understand what I'm trying to
I think I know.
explain.
I think I know what you're talking about there, Jay. Is that what you're?
Right, right. These are, for instance, this morning I captured an image, right? And inside the alien eye, and I'll send you this image, is a perfect pyramid. I mean, it's so perfect. I mean, it's mind blowing. I'm getting information on magnetic light, plasma light. I have so many images of light, reflection light, and frozen ice, but in geometric forms that are mind blowing. And
And
I've seen aliens moving around. I have cone heads. I have
okay, wait a
aliens with.
minute. Enough of the description. We got to look at the pictures so that people can see what the heck you're talking about. I can't find them here. Where did you send them to me? Was it at the Spaceship Institute address?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Let me try to
You
find
know
it
what
now.
is? I have it in my
I
phone, and I'm talking to you through my phone, so
Yeah,
I
I don't
can't
see
get
it
to the
under your
information.
names is the thing. So was it under a different name or how did it get sent to me?
Yes, it was a Jay Waterman. And I sent you one of a perfect alien skull that I received. This alien skull is so perfect. I mean, it's unbelievable. But I also have alien hands with an alien skull, three fingers, a thumb. I seen it moving around. I have images of aliens outside of the structure of the water, and I have them in a camera moving around.
It's
I have they're sending information on magnetic forces. I have images of them, their magnetic expression moving in front of themselves. And so what they're showing is that there's a magnetic field that we move in, that we are extending in front of us. I have the pictures of this. There's just so much information that these aliens are sending us. And so what I feel is that this information is coming through. So you got, because of the work that you guys have created with this magnetic plasma uh, ice, um, of plasma, we are capturing a higher quality of alien imaging.
Can you tell
compare
me
it to
what
other.
date was you sent those pictures? It was fairly recent,
I'm
about a
sorry,
month
you know
ago
what it
or
is? I have it
something.
in my phone, and I'm talking to you, and I can't get none of. But it was a few days ago. I actually sent a few images, and one of them was of the spears. They were like little tiny spears, and you could see it impacting my frozen ice. And then I sent one of a skull, and there's one of a big green cone, alien head, cone head. He's huge. I have so many of them though. Of huge conehead aliens. Um, I have animals. I have all kinds of animals.
I
I have
can't
fish.
find the pictures right now. I'd like to have more direction as to when they occurred and exactly what the address was. I've got many things I'm trying to go through here and trying to find them, and I can't find it under your name. I can't find it
Yes, I
under
know. Yes,
anything
may I?
else.
Can I
Hey,
send?
Rick, I can explain what Jay's talking about here.
Well, I don't want it explained. I want to have a look at the pictures so we know what we're looking at.
Exactly. You're right. That's exactly.
And then I
This is
want
what
it
I'm only.
explained.
Right, right. That's all I'm asking for is a chance to please look at these images to see how mind blowing this is. Do you realize because of
Okay,
you
did you send
guys,
them
we
to
have,
me? Enough. Did you send them to me at rick@spaceshipinstitute.org or at blueprint@keshefoundation.org? Do you remember?
I sent it. Yes, I sent them to the KesheFoundation.org.
The blueprint
Yes,
page, correct? Blueprint at
yes,
Keshe Foundation. Okay, that's
yes.
helpful. I can maybe
But
zero in
I'll
on
be
it
more than
there.
happy. I'll be more than happy to send you more images if you could tell me where I could send them.
Well, the best way to do is just share the images. If you have them, then you can share them right now on your screen, and we wouldn't have to. You could tell us about which one, and I won't have to go through them myself and so on. That's one way to do it. But just
But you know what it is? How do
there,
I? Because how I'm talking to you right now, and the images are in my cell phone.
right? Yeah, it might be
So that's
awkward. I'm
why.
not sure. Let me just keep going through here and see if I can find
I
them.
just have so much mind blowing information to share with you guys. I actually see the aliens moving around. I have images of gorillas, the stone heads, of the images that look like stone heads, gorillas. I have those exact pictures that look exactly like that. Um, they're trying what I'm gathering is that they're trying to send us information that they are the same civilization that has done so much structure, the pyramids, so much of structure. I mean, it's all about magnetic imaging. So the crop circles, right? That's how I'm receiving my images. These images are coming in from magnetic imaging through light, plasma light. The stronger the plasma light, the more magnetic imaging I'm receiving in clear definition. It's really
Well, I
mind blowing.
can't find the pictures. I don't know where they went.
Wow.
They're not here. They're
Oh,
not in my list. You're not in my list. I don't know what happened.
oh
I'll
gosh.
still try to look
Well, what
here.
would you say? How could I send you
Well, can you resend them? Can you just send them now, or just have a look at a couple of them or something? I'm not sure where they are here. Maybe they're in the. Maybe they're not there. They're not there. They're not there.
this is mind
Somewhere
blowing.
else.
What I want you to, I've been having a hard time. I've been actually, I've had threats on me and everything because I tell people that, it's because of this plasma technology that I'm receiving these alien images and aliens are actually connected to me. I don't want to say too much about this because you won't believe me, but I have the proof that it's like a connection that it's unbelievable. But I have the proof in the pictures. The images are the proof. And so then you guys can start doing this experiment yourselves. Take plasma ice and take pictures in the sunlight. And you're going to see aliens in there moving around. You're going to see faces looking at you, eyes. There are always eyes. That's what I always, the first thing I absorb is
Okay,
the
what
eyes.
you need to do is you got the pictures on your phone, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, get off the Zoom, send me the pictures, and come back on so we can have a look at them. Because I don't want to talk about this anymore without seeing the pictures, and I just don't have them. I don't know where they went. Okay,
Okay. Let me try.
so
Let me try to do that
just
right now.
resend them, or find a way that you can share them. You can also bring them up on your screen and do a screen share, I think, with the iPhone as well. But if you can just send them to me, or send a few to me so we can get an understanding what you're talking about.
Right. Right. But let me ask you, just off from your understand. What I just want to get your input. Uh, if you believe that this discovery is real, that it is possible, do you think that it would be something pretty big?
That is all conjecture to me. I don't currently believe it's real, but if it's real to you, then I need to bring it up and I need to address it, and it might be
Because
real
it
to
is
others.
absolutely, that's why I'm getting in so much trouble, because I am so passionate of saying this is a
Well,
real
there's so
discovery.
many people that come up to the Keshe Foundation and say they're in communication with UFOs or communication with aliens and so on. It's not a big deal. It's not a big surprise. And yes, if you go around telling everybody that you're in communication with aliens, you will get harassed, no doubt about it. But
Right,
then you just have to hang around with people that accept your views and get on with life and whatever. Don't deliberately abuse yourself with people that abuse you. Um,
yeah, absolutely, yeah,
that's a
yeah.
rule of thumb.
But
For me, I don't
right,
care. I'm willing to talk about anything. I don't care what people say about me behind my back, in front of my back, or otherwise at this point. I have absolutely
right,
no care at all about that. And
right,
I'm quite willing to have anybody abuse me at any time, and I can give it back if necessary. But I've seen lots of other pictures that people have presented of blurry pictures, and it's of aliens and of basically it's artifacts of a camera. Because are you seeing the exact same things with your own eyes while you're looking at it? And that's what you're taking a
no,
picture of? Or are you
they're
taking the picture and then looking at the picture and seeing the aliens in the picture?
correct. They're very tiny. These
Right.
images that are
So
coming in
that's
are
what I'm
so
saying is
tiny.
there's artifacts of the camera that you could look at. It's like if you had what do they call it? The Rorsch blots, ink blots, where you put an ink blot between paper and you open it up, and people interpret what the ink blot is supposed to represent. And if you all you can think about is I don't know, sex, for example, then every ink blot is going to look like a sexual influence, a sexual reference of some sort.
Right,
And
right.
you're going to
No,
say,
this
oh,
is
that's someone in this
right.
sexual posture,
Yeah,
that's someone in this sexual posture. Or if all
right,
you're
right,
seeing is aliens, then every ink blot you open up, that's an alien. Look at, there's the nose, there's the eyes right there. And every cloud you look
right,
at, look, there's an alien. It must be an alien saucer. Look, you can see, look, there's the shape right there. And everything you look at becomes alien. Or if you're
yeah,
into
yeah.
plasma, everything you look at becomes plasma. And you start to see everything in terms of fields and plasma and interactions, and it becomes a whole
Right.
different world. So
One of the
one of
things
the
that
unique
I
things about humans is we're able to tune our impressions or our outer world
yeah,
according to our inner world, and it changes everything. But that doesn't mean that everybody's going to see aliens in your images, or that you can present that as this is aliens. It's something that represents that to you, but that doesn't mean that it's an objective thing that this is aliens. That's what
right,
I argue about. And I don't
yeah.
think that's
No,
fair
one of
to
the things
others
that
to represent it that way.
I have, me personally, I have virtually eliminated every other scientific possibility other than I know this is alien source. As I said, I see them moving. I see their eyes. You're going to see eyes looking at me. They're looking at me taking the picture of the camera. You're going to see their eyes shifting right at my face when I'm
What type of
taking
water are
their
you
picture.
using again? The CO2
We
plasma?
are using the magnetic. What I do is I take the magnetic pad, I put it on the water, I put the water in the freezer. Now the water comes out very vortex. You know what I'm talking about. And so when I place it in the sunlight, I was blown away by the pictures of the inside, the texture, how it started to form into different images. And these
Okay, can you
images,
show us the images, please? Enough talk
yes,
about this. I want to see the images. I can't find them. I don't have them. Send them to me
right.
again, or that's
Okay.
enough. I don't want to hear about all this stuff anymore without seeing the images. People have to see what you're talking about here.
I absolutely agree. That's
Okay.
all I'm asking for the
Okay,
chance. So please keep
so
an open mind and give me that chance.
I'm giving you the chance. Get the pictures either to me or get ready to present them yourself, and we'll have a look at them now, or in a
And
few
if you have
minutes.
a chance, I'm on.
Yes. Sorry,
I'm,
guys.
I'm on.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys.
Yes.
I'm listening since a while here. It's Shandor from Hungary. Unfortunately, soon I have to leave to deal with some administrative things. And I was curious to get something about our main subjects, but I'm only listening about some not plasma, alien porn or whatever. So please, Jay, send by email. You are using proficiently computer, so you can send an email to Rick. You can send him. He will evaluate the pictures, and if he considers it something worth to present it in public, he will send it, or he will talk with you about in private.
Yeah, we've already dealt with that, Shandor.
Conversation
He
does no
already
well
sent
unless you do
Shandor.
something. Okay.
He already sent me the pictures. I can't find them. I lost them. We're going to get them resent, and we're going to address this.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll be doing that. Thank
And
you.
Rick, please look at your Zoom private message, not in the chat, not in the meeting, but the other. Thank you very much, guys.
Oh, God. Okay. Okay, I'll be off a few minutes while I examine what Shandor sent me here. Okay, there is a couple of there are the pictures actually. I can see them here now from Jay. It was in it wasn't in my it wasn't in my email, Jay. It was in Facebook.
Oh,
Crying out
yes,
loud.
yes. Yes.
Oh
Can you hear
yeah.
me?
Yes, I
Yes,
can.
because I'm on Facebook. Right.
Yes, not in my email at all. Okay, now I can find the pictures.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so unfortunately they're hard to get off of this Facebook. I have to copy each image individually and reopen it and so on.
Wow.
Alright.
I have so many images of magnetism, magnetic
Okay, we're
forces.
about to look.
I
We're
have.
not going to even look at those right now. We're going to look at the images you sent me. And this
Okay.
is one of them.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Does everybody see the alien in there? Does anybody see the alien in there? Let's put it that way. And can you describe where the alien is here? Or what do you see
I
alien
can't.
about this?
I can't see what you're posting.
Oh, okay. Let me see, it should come up.
It's on our screens good here, Rick.
Okay, maybe it needs to be a bit smaller or something in order to show up on iPhone.
If you could describe it, I'll know exactly what Jimmy.
You want me to describe
Jay, you
it?
can, if you're on a mobile phone, you can swipe with your fingers from one screen to the other in the Zoom meeting when you are not talking. Okay. If you are in a driving mode, in that case, you don't see the pictures. Just you can swipe to left.
Thank you, Chandra.
You're welcome.
Let me see. I'm gonna find a way to save these pictures better. Let me see. Just okay, that's a little better. Okay, here's another image to see if it comes up. It's a all I can describe it is a brown fuzzy image. There's a white fuzzy image in the middle. Let me just do the share here. Can you see that, Jay, on your screen? Does it show up as a screen share? Maybe my video has to be off. Let me stop the video and see if that works. Hello, you still there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Okay, yes, that's an alien skull, right? The alien skull.
So what you pointed the camera to when you did that? So what was in your front when you made that picture? And what size
Frozen
is this
ice.
artifact?
Frozen plasma ice.
I understand. So we had a nice friend years ago. Since years ago, he's looking to such blurry spots, and he guesses all kinds of pictures according to his imagination in that.
Yeah, but these, you could see these images. Did you see? Doesn't that look like an alien skull to you? You could see the point.
No, it looks like a blurry spot of something. If you turn it upside down, what you see it in it. You know the Rorschach text?
How about the other one that looked like a gorilla? And you could see, when you see it more clearly, you could see his eyes looking at you. That gorilla.
An alien frozen in your fridge, yes?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's, you have to understand, what I'm experiencing with these images is something that is truly magnetism. In an instant, one image will go from one complete image into something else in an instant. I mean, this is mind blowing. As I said, they're showing us magnetic forces, how magnetic forces interact.
Yes. When you freeze plasma water in the fridge, or you put a spiral coil of nano-coated copper in the water and or above or near the water, and you
I just use the pad.
What happens. The created fields are heating up. They create some temperature difference in different regions of the water, and there are some bubbles or there are some lines which do not freeze quickly.
Yeah, may I? Here's one of the parts of information that we are, and this is what I want to learn from you guys. This is, what it is that the alien imaging is expressed in magnetic light. Magnetic light is how they send information, how information is being transmitted, received, sent. It's in the magnetic light. So when we expose the plasma ice water into the sunlight. This is how we're capturing these images. So what we're saying is that the universe communicates in light, magnetic light. And
Yeah, so very good. So you made the experiment, and you see as the result whatever was your wish. If you wished aliens, you seem to see the aliens.
no, well, not exactly, no, because they're sending us images of what they want us to see. As you could see, I'm receiving images
They didn't send it to us. They sent it to you, not to us, because I'm not getting the images at all that you're talking about. I don't stretch it that there's aliens communicating through these images to me, because I wasn't there at the time. I didn't experience what you experienced. I do not see what you're talking about. And that's why I don't want to present these as some breakthrough, because it's a breakthrough for you. It's not a breakthrough for anybody else.
Well, I tell you, and this is why I was hoping that, you could see it because this is something that it's not, and I'm not the only one experiencing. Everyone that I'm showing to them on Facebook, they see these images.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
this is something
Everyone you're
very
showing it to sees the images that you see. Is that right?
right.
Everyone
Yes.
but me. I'm the only one who
No,
didn't.
no, no. Well, may I ask you that image of that doesn't look anything like a skull to you in any way?
Jay, can I ask you a question? This is Mario. You're saying that that there's a skull, there's an alien skull embedded in that.
I have many skulls. I have a lot of
And
them.
this skull
So what
has
happens
ears
to
on
one?
it. It's got alien
let me ask you a
skull
question.
ears. Ears on the skull? What the heck's that all about?
Can I ask a question? Wait. What happens when the water melts? The skulls just go away? Are they not still there?
The images are not held in not that kind of matter. The images are held.
So it's just an image. It's
By
not.
the way, I see there on the screen the head of a bunny.
No, there's a conscious, intelligent life force that is transmitting this information, this image, and
So it's an image of a skull. It's not the actual skull.
It's not only skulls. I have images.
Skull, for example.
I have images.
No, but I'm asking you a question. Wait. I'm trying to ask a question. You think that it's a skull, or is it just an image of a skull?
No, well, it is a picture of a skull. It's a picture of an alien head.
It dissolves as soon as the water melts.
I'm sorry?
So the skull, the picture of the skull completely dissolves when the water melts, right?
I guess you could say that, yes.
So it's just an image.
No,
it's not a skull. Either there's a skull in there, or it's just an image that looks like a skull.
Well, you have to keep an open. This is something that I am trying to understand myself, and so what I understand, because it's so we're not even talking about a skull. I have an image of a llama, right?
Here,
it starts out. It looks like a pencil. It looks like just a little smark of a pencil mark. When I take the next picture, it's a full developed llama. The llama has eyes sticking outside of its head. The eyes are not connected to the head.
Well, all right. Again, are you saying that it's a llama, or is it an image that looks like a llama?
I'm trying to explain something to you guys that none of us have ever experienced, including myself. What I'm experiencing in my life, in a way, I went to the priest to try to get counseling from him because I was almost having a nervous breakdown, seeing live images that I've never seen in my life. And I to this moment, I'm still freaking out because when I see these aliens moving around inside the ice and looking at me with their eyes, and they're sending us information, and all I'm asking for is a chance for you guys to really look into this, because I'm telling you, this is extraterrestrial life communicating with us because of your magnetic plasma ice. Aliens are the supreme gods of magnetic forces. We cannot dispute that, right? We can agree on that much, that the alien world is the master supreme gods of magnetic imaging. How do they do crop circles? How did they form the pyramids? That same force is sending me images in my eyes like it's nothing. Because they
Are you saying that you're getting that information from Mr. Keshe's teaching? That you think that's
from
what
his
is
plasma, from the plasma liquid.
May I
When I
please explain it? Okay,
sorry?
so what I can see what's causing the great confusion here is that, of course, water naturally and how programmable it is, it has divinative qualities. So like divination. And the other thing is especially when it's frozen in the crystal form, especially it forms planar vision. And now what happens, especially with plasmatic waters, is that because it's an ambient technology, then not only does it pick up the external fields, but it'll pick up the internal fields from what you're saying you're trying to image. Yes, it possibly can.
Exactly. Yep.
It can be images because the higher resonance of that crystal lattice, that's why you don't see full, the full thing into one solid image. It's only little bits here and there in the whole scope that you see a little image here.
Yeah, but they're coming pretty close. I'll tell you, I see faces, and that's why I'm going to post them. And I just beg you guys to give me one chance to look at them with an open mind. You're going to see full faces of human faces, alien faces. I mean, there is just so many faces. I have one, and I lost it, of the China. There was a China face found on the moon, and it's on YouTube, of a Chinese woman found a face of a woman found on the moon. I had that picture.
Like I said, there's lots of people that find the face of Jesus in toast, and lots of people, and lots of people that find aliens in clouds and whatnot. We experience what we wish to experience. You saw these images. You created these images but yourself in the ice. You created them in the ice, not the aliens. You created them. Your vision. This is reflected in the ice. What you wanted to see came through for you.
That's what Mr. Keshe says.
That's what Peter was just saying, I think. And that's what Mr. Keshe would say, and anybody says. We create our own universe. We create our own reality. You created this reality, but it's your reality. It's not my reality, that's for sure. And I won't agree with this. And I won't put up with showing it anymore. I think we've shown enough, actually. So you can go along and figure out with your reality with it. I don't want to show this to Mr. Keshe, and I don't want to present it anymore in the plasma group.
I was hoping you guys would have an open mind.
I have an open mind. I showed it. I showed a number of the images,
with
and we're not getting.
Mind, the pictures are very interesting, and everybody is free to read from it whatever he wants. Exactly like people used to read from whatever is left in their cup. It's called coffee reading.
And in that case, we could all get right into it and see all kinds of images in these pictures. And we can go on all day with the images. I see Europe in this picture. And I can see Italy. I can see the boot of Italy. And so on and on and on, depending on what our experience is and what we are looking at. Like, what's his name? Someone put in the chat here. Rene says, I see naked women everywhere. It's what you're looking for is what you'll find. There's an old saying, what you see is what you get.
Right. But to me, if we are a serious discussion in science world, a science discussion, to me, that makes no sense to me. And that's why I started my conversation by asking to have a chance to really have a good presentation. If the images that you are viewing are not, you're not seeing what I'm seeing and what everybody else, what a lot of people are seeing when I say
wait a minute, when you say everybody else, has anybody here
You see,
seeing
and
the
this is
images that
right.
that Jay is seeing? Is anybody here? Just speak up now. Are you seeing the images?
Right. Well,
Yes, I
there's
can
a few
stretch
other
it and see an
images.
alien head here if I really want to go for it. It's not a skull. It's got ears. Skulls don't have ears.
Right. Okay. Can you see the ears? Can we
I
agree
can
that
see
much?
what looks like an ear, yes, and but I could see a skull in this picture too. Look, there's a skull. There's an eye here. This looks like to me a cow
Okay.
skull.
Okay. So
Okay,
that's
let's look
what
at
I'm
the other
talking about.
picture. I go back to one of the other pictures. This looks like more like a fish skull to me. Okay, so we can all look at skulls in all the pictures and come up with thousands of skull images. That is not
And
So
you
what we're
can
going to do
also
here, though.
twist the picture
but
90
so
degrees.
now we're not. Now we can agree that it's not me saying it. That you see something of what I'm describing, right?
If you give me two blots of ink on a piece of paper, I will definitely describe you what I'm seeing. Okay? And it won't be from the aliens. But to you it will be. And that's the difference.
You know, I am all my life I've been an atheist. I believe only in science. I only believe in science. I am an atheist. I don't believe in anything. I didn't believe in Keshe for many years. It took me. I've been watching you guys for many years, and I didn't believe in that. And this discovery has turned my life around, and I am beyond. And so when I say it's me, it's not me seeing it. I am posting these, and everyone that is pretty much, there are some people that don't see the images. I
Wait a
understand that,
minute.
but
You said that
pretty,
people were like giving you a hard time and
oh
costing
yes,
you about this and so
I
on.
have had threats. There's another
Okay.
person
Well, I
that's
guess not everybody agrees with you, correct?
no. But the threats that I'm getting is because I am persisting that what I'm experiencing and what I am saying is real. This is I am
Right.
saying
This is
that
what the
there
problem
is
is.
real.
You're
There's
saying that
alien
your
world.
point of view is real and our point of view is not correct. And that's what
No,
I
sir.
don't go for here.
No.
Yes, yes,
This is
yes. Yes, yes, yes. You have not accepted that people here are not accepting your pictures as being real. And you think that everyone accepts your pictures as being real. Well, that's not true. That is a false thinking. I don't think the pictures are real. Maybe someone else here, Peter's explained it in a way that has some basis, perhaps, if we really want to stretch it. But I'm not going for it anymore. I don't buy it. I'm not buying into it. No, I won't go for it. Sorry. End of conversation, basically. And that's it for. I've given you enough time on this. I think we've dealt with it enough, and I think it's time to move on to something else. Thanks for presenting. I just can't see us going any further with it. If there's anybody else who would like to,
I thought that
is there anybody else who would
I
like
can't-
to discuss this any further? Do you see any worth in discussing this? If you do, then let's continue. But if it's only Jay and only Jay can see the aliens and only Jay is the one that's presenting this, we're not going to get anywhere with it. I got to have some backup that this is real.
The only thing I could see is that it's almost like an imitation of the looking glass, which is nothing more than a pool of charged liquid plasma and a fractal lens over top of it.
Holy cow, Peter! I'm not sure if that was helpful or not.
I am very disappointed in the way that this is going this way, but I'm sorry if I'm taking up your time, and but
it's not a matter of taking up her time. It's a matter of we're looking at it. We've looked at it. We don't approve of that perspective in this particular case. We could be wrong. We could be wrong, but that's the way it is, Jay. I already told you about this before, that I didn't accept this as something that I wanted to present.
Right. So you're not looking at it with a scientific mind.
No, I'm looking at it from someone that sees a bunch of pictures with no explanation, first of all, when you sent them to me. And you didn't even tell me how you took the pictures and where they came from, what magnification or anything scientific to do with it. It was zilch, only about your personal interpretation of the pictures. which you think is scientific. Well, that's BS. Sorry.
Okay, but can I ask you just one last question, please?
Mm-hmm.
Because you mentioned spears in your conversation before. I was listening, right?
Spears where?
Spears, right?
When did I mention spears in my conversation? You
I
mentioned
believe you were
spears.
mentioning in some form or another. The
With
first,
nanomaterials, yes. I've talked about
okay,
nano rods and
now,
nano,
now,
not
so
spears, but nano rods and fibers and that
right.
kind of thing. Is that what you mean?
And I will pursue this because
Absolutely. Go for it. Pursue it on your own
the first
time. But we're done with it
images
here,
that I
Jay.
received
Jay, we're done with it here.
were the first images that I received, as I mentioned, were spears,
Mm-hmm.
and it's taken me a long time to try to understand what they were trying to say. Now, spears are the formation of matter. Matter is the formation of everything that's everything, right? It starts with the formation of the spear. The spear is a magnetic particle, some submonatomic magnetic particle.
I've never
That's
Jay,
heard of
you
a
have,
particle called a spear before. But
yeah, Jay, do you have
if you
Mr.
mean
Keshe's
light rays,
books?
perhaps.
Do you have Mr.
and so
Keshe's books,
we
Jay?
know that spears, a magnetic force, it's invisible, but the magnetic force, if a picture of a magnetic force is a spears.
Well, do you
No.
have his books? Because he explains that in a very different way. So if you're really studying Kesh
Well,
plasma,
this is what I'm just I was trying to, because I came to you guys because I felt that because of you guys, that this is happening. And I thought that you would have a more open mind and give me a chance, but
well,
I
maybe
gave you
you
the
might.
first time the explanation. When you have a plasma
just
water,
looking at 3 or 4 images and saying, well, you don't see it and you don't want to talk about it anymore. I have to respect that. I mean, but I was hoping that you would give me a chance to give you a more break, because this is a mind-blowing breakthrough, a discovery that I really regret even finding out about it because of the kind of the behavior that I'm experiencing. But it's something that I can't let it go because I'm not now. I'm too much into it. But I'm seeing life. I am seeing life force every time I pick up that camera. I'm
Well,
seeing
I'm
different
happy
life
for you,
force.
Jay. That's great. Then
It's
lots of
not.
people
Okay,
see life
you shouldn't be
force in
happy for me.
working with the
I wouldn't
GANs and
want this.
working with the fields and so on. That's what it's all about. But to try to
Right.
impose your, to me, very limited vision on what you're seeing on us is just not working for me today. Sorry, that's just
so right
I
now
don't buy
I'm
it.
Sir,
sharing.
you only look. You only looked at 3 pictures. And
No, we looked at half a
I
dozen
have
pictures
Jay,
here,
10,000
and all of the pictures you posted, I just went through here. Okay, we looked at different ones.
And
I don't see
none
the
of them make
value in
any
that.
sense to you. None of them. The ones that I posted, none of them. The one with the big blue cone head. Does that make any sense to
Big
you?
blue
Do you
cone
see
head.
any
No,
eyes
makes
there?
no sense to me at all. Sorry, Jay. We're done. We're done.
Yeah.
Sorry.
just a second. I'm sharing a photo which Jay published
Yeah. Please
publicly
go.
on
You
Facebook
guys that want to have a
about
more
how
open
he.
mind, a scientific mind, please go on
Okay.
Facebook.
What's
Do you
this,
hear me or
Shandor?
am I talking
Yes,
alone?
Shandor. Go ahead,
And
Shandor. Jay, be quiet, please.
So I'm sharing now the photo about the source of this or similar pictures. It's a beautiful photo which Jay made with his frozen plasma water. So this is the source of these interesting shapes and forms. They are the structures of the ice created in the water, and you can see clearly on the picture on the left side there are those magnetic lines in the water. So now these magnetic lines are creating a different condition, and the water will not freeze in certain areas. So it will have some pockets of unfrozen water. That's how these are formed. So now, whatever communication Jay finds there, it is according to his wish, what he wants to get information, so that he gets. So this is absolutely personal. So what's your wish? If your wish is to communicate with aliens, you will see the alien communication. If somebody has another wish, maybe he will have other interpretation for the same shapes. So thank you for sharing that. It's beautiful. Don't be upset about, just continue working with plasma and you'll have more discoveries later. Okay? That was my single point.
Thank you,
If you
Sandra.
can agree with something which I told.
Is there anything you want to say about that? Last thing you want to say about that, Jay, before we drop the subject here? You can unmute yourself, or I'll unmute you and see if you
So
want
it's impossible for a force to have an input, and that you're trying to say that people are creating this input, that it's impossible for an exterior force to create. We would not be alive if it wasn't for this force right now. This is the force that has given us
Of
life.
course, it's an exterior force, of course.
Right.
But that is
And so,
according to your wish. Remember,
if you guys want to see
always
any,
told your wish is your command.
I'm on UFOs, extraterrestrial UFOs on Facebook, and I won't take up any more of your time. I just don't. I can see that you don't have no respect for me, but the feeling is mutual.
No, we
Okay,
have
thank you
respect
very
for
much.
you. We
Okay,
have
goodbye.
respect for you.
That's enough. Goodbye.
Alrighty, now time for independent energy.
Okay, yes, thank you. I think it's time for Peter. That would be refreshing after that.
Well,
Hey, let me get you pinned up there, Peter.
Possible, but
Just a
you know,
sec.
that's something else.
Let me just get you pinned up here so we can see your lovely outfit.
I know, right? Hey, when you're doing it's always good to dress up to do that kind of, help concentrate on business, getting things done. Here's the first thing I want to show you before we get into independent energy, because it's a pretty fulfilling topic here. I actually got a PowerPoint presentation to show you guys. Is this right here? I'll try to get the light to focus on it a bit more. Where's the camera? This right here is a multiphasic capacitor. It is capable of both regular capacitance as well as negative capacitance, which is great, as you could see in my article that I posted on Facebook referencing negative capacitance. What it is the cell right now is doing 0.8 volts, both negative and positive DC, as well as 1.2 volt AC. And the milliamperage goes up and down, like it's charging itself, obviously, and discharging, but it seems like it's more of a capacitor than it really is a battery. What I have at the what I have at the bottom here is a mixture of finely ground quartz as well as ground iron pyrite. Now, the reason why we use iron pyrite is not only because it has spiritual and health benefits when energy is conducted across it, but also as well as the minuscule amounts of gold that is in it. So it helps out with capacitance, as gold is a supercapacitor. And then the sulfur in it as well, because iron pyrite's just iron and sulfur with a little bit of gold added to it. And it has great capacities. So I doubt I can get the light to show it. Here is that there's actually four different rods. The other one I have is out on the geometric energy device outside in the yard, but there's four rods, two of these wires, the two long ones here, right here, those two go down and they're still insulated while they're in the electrolytic fluid here, which is some sea salt crystal, a couple drops of CO2 plasma water, as well as Epsom salts. So, and it's in a nice kind of emulsive paste, but it's not liquidy. It's almost in stasis. And the two long leads, which would be the positives, just have a little tiny exposing of wiring, and they go right into the composite here at the bottom, and they do not touch the actual electrolytic fluid up here. And then there's two zinc wrapped wires using just your regular, I don't have some in front of me, but just your regular roofing zinc cut in about 1.5 inch wire. So just to fit there, and do the 4 holes, just use some hot glue inside, outside. It's great. And it actually seems to be doing quite well for capacitance, and its ability to do negative capacitance too is great because as stated, as you can see in my Facebook article, it should be quite recent on my profile there, is that negative capacitance and its ability to tap into earth energies and its ability to operate vastly efficient. With mechanical capacitors, it's more about tricking the capacitor to discharge and recharge on 1/10 of the energy it needs, rather than a regular charge it needs to invoke the switch for it to discharge. Okay, so that's a pretty interesting one right there. I've been making more of them. I was gonna do, if I do about 5 or 6 of these, maybe up to 12, I can get it up enough to hook up to an energy amplifier and then run it off the geometric energy device. It's an independent energy device under principle 4, which is geometric energy, as well as principle 2, which is plasma. Of course, field energy. There's a lot of confusion between combustion plasma and field plasma. So with independent energy, combustion plasma is alternative energy. It needs fuel, whether it's acetylene or hydrogen. Hydrogen is abundant, but it still is fuel. Field plasma, of course, does not. It is a system that performs work as well as over unity, so it provides more energy than it uses. So now here I'm going to do a screen share here, and we can start with the PowerPoint presentation. 1 second here. Let me just share screen. Where is it? There we go. Okay. Let me just go into slideshow here. Excellent. Okay, so independent energy, classification, definitions, principles, and geopolitical structure. New classification of energy is born, which breaks a many-century stranglehold on the citizens of the realm. Excellent. And this involves the Keshe Foundation very extremely. Like, this is the operating structure to enable access to the masses. Like, plasma is developing good, but it's at a snail's pace. This is actually going to make everything, all 4 principal technologies, develop at a rapid pace. Alrighty. 1, classification. What is independent energy? It's a new classification where the benefits of the associated technologies can be readily enjoyed and developed openly by the general populace. This can be utilized across the realm with quite ease, as its citizens are already desperately craving for knowledge and stability of this nature. It also thoroughly vaporizes the existing cover-up and active suppression of these technologies brought on by select unsavory characters and entities. Independent energy, this is the actual definition that a little later down, it'll be in the definition, is a fuelless, emissionless source of continuous renewable energy based on the principles of natural electromagnetics, plasma, zero-point energy, and geometric energy. Independent energy has 4 principles. It's based on natural electromagnetics, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's pretty much how I labeled it for the principles. So the structure of technological trees, aka roots, are dug deep into validated and vetted existence due to the letter support, which we'll go over in a little bit here, because the district has to vet all the information before they can create action. So providing greater protection for the companies, individuals, countries, etc., including the Keshe Foundation, to operate, start utilizing independent energy openly. So there it is, plasma, Keshe Foundation, there it is. Plus we all do, even Milk Green Energy Productions Limited, we do hybrids. So this will cover for a base stanchion of at least 100 years development. Okay, let's keep going. independent energy will become a no-cost, smooth flow, assembly line-like seamless integration into the infrastructure if the two-phase instruction manual illuminate the way independent energy infrastructure upgrade, brackets IEIU, that'll be the acronym for short, is followed. The use of independent energy is limitless. Initial devices are rated to handle extreme environments, which provide unimpeded installations and access to the associated technologies as stated in the definitions of independent energy devices and advanced smart energy management systems mentioned on the next few slides. Now, you guys can all hear me fine, right?
Loud and clear, thank you.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. Alrighty, next slide. I just finished this about 10 minutes before the thing started, so independent energy, there it is again, is a fuelless, emissionless source of continuous renewable energy based on the principles of Principle 1, natural electrodynamics, Principle 2, plasma, Principle 3, zero-point energy, Principle 4, geometric energy. Now, like my device I'll show you probably next week is a hybrid between Principle 2, which is plasma, and Principle 4, which is geometric energy. So the actual definition of independent energy devices, this is what all these will be operating on in order to operate with Illuminate the Way and safely to avoid the unscrupulous characters, as will be mentioned. Independent energy devices is a fuelless, emissionless source of continuous renewable energy that requires no continued external input to operate. These devices are based off the principles of natural electromagnetics, plasma, zero-point energy, and geometrical energy, not prone for disruption from external factors and maintenance issues, but capable of energy production 24/7, 365 days a year. This is the base definitions, like these definitions are the base ones to operate for independent energy and associated technological trees. So it grants mass utilization to the public. If we operate under it, you know, Milk Marine Energy Products Limited is already operating under it. The federal governments can't touch it. You know, any type of legislation or anything, because these are all copyright protected duly, and because of the Illuminate the Way and the other protections, so it makes it very, very, very difficult for them to even legislate on it without getting dinged for copyright infringement and plagiarism. And because of the international trade agreements and whatnot and blah, 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 it makes it difficult for other countries as well. It can be utilized, you know, independent energy can be utilized. It's more, you know, Illuminate the Way and everything like that. So let's continue. I'll explain that later. These devices can be utilized as a passive income generator based off true energy consciousness and power generating capabilities with the appropriate installations and legislative framework in position. The independent energy devices covers hundreds of thousands of devices under the 4 principles, including multiphasic and a wide range of capabilities. The new independent energy device we also developed is a hybrid between plasma and natural electromagnetics. It's a pretty cool one. It's 5 by 6 inches. Hopefully when it's done, it should be able to do about 30 kilowatts and take about 1.4 watts to run. So that's pretty good. It'd be multiphasic as well, so there'd be no 120, 220, 440. It'd be on demand. Like even what Keshe says, plasma is when it's in its over unity state, it's on demand. Alrighty, so advanced smart energy management systems. Now these definitions will be followed strict, like very, very strictly. It's what mitigates the risk, as is explained. Advanced smart energy management systems is a military or higher grade of system capable of handling extreme environments, including submersible, temperature resistant range from -60 degrees Celsius to 120 degrees Celsius, integratable with any existing alternative energy and independent energy sources, including all types of battery formats with multiple programmable modes such as grid tie-off, grid interactive, off-grid net metering, etc., as well as secured monitoring, analytical, and management programs accessible via internet connection on any device. Now, the ASIM's capability of being able to integrate multiple types of input makes it an ideal coupling to the independent energy devices. The pair make the ultimate stability package of any sector or industry. Advanced smart energy management systems are an essential part of the assembly line, like seamless integration of Illuminate the Way independent energy infrastructure upgrade, although not necessarily needed for the basic use of independent energy. You can always do hard wires, right? The advanced smart energy management system is always the best in municipalities and everything. We'll get over that with the next paragraph here. The association with smart, how most people fear the word like smart meter and smart appliances and all this. The association with smart is based on the ACM's ability to monitor, analyze, and manage multiple energy sources with multiple different modes. Now, this can be done analog with the actual digipad on the advanced smart energy management system itself. All the modes is measured before, off-grid, grid tie, net metering, blah, 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 as well as the option for secured online management and analytical programs. So in this definition, it says as well as analytical management programs. So the AC that I'm talking about, yes, it can do that, but it's an accessory. So the advanced energy management system has to be able to have analytical management programs like online like this definition right here. It has to have that, but it's optional. It's just capable of it, is what it's saying. It has to be capable of these things. So I gotta get over it. So the smart, how everybody's like, oh, so it's not, as down here, it's not a dangerous radiation emitting possible remote arson demonic digital portal opening capable equipment like 5G capable device, which you'd see in probably 2017, 2018 internet router, 5G, which you should just deactivate anyway, because you're not using it. The iPhone 7 or greater or equivalent, if you're have a good provider and a new network, or a smart electrical meter. And we all know the smart electrical meters emit crazily dangerous electromagnetic radiation, as well as are the arson equipment with just a little short signal, as the smart fighters in California. Okay, so here is the actual program that works brilliantly for integration, and it provides all the no cost, smooth flow, seamless integrations, assembly line, like everything like that. So illuminate the way independent energy infrastructure upgrade. And commonly you'll see IEIU being referenced, independent energy infrastructure upgrade. That's what it means. Is a two-phase instruction manual establishing a no-cost, smooth flow assembly line like seamless integration of independent energy devices and advanced smart energy management systems into the existing infrastructure, as well as the rules, regulations, policies, and benchmarks. So it's the first instruction manual that actually is do this, this happens, do this, this happens, and it just goes like that as the further development goes along. So illuminate the way is the first instruction manual in the realm ever written on how to establish what is mentioned above. It equals to a win-win-win for all aspects, markets, and industries. Remember, Milk Marine Energy Productions Limited, we're not landscapers. We do not cut grass. We just rearrange a few blades, and that's what this is doing. Just rearrange a few blades. We're not out to mow any competition down or anything. So illuminate the way with independent energy will bolster both beneficial developments, drastically lower cost of living, and vastly increase crucial economic stability, regardless of external forces such as, but not limited to, natural disasters, slumlords, cryptocurrencies, outside political interests / interference, banksters, Illuminati, globalist, swampification, etc. Illuminate the way independent energy infrastructure upgrade has countless anti-corruption and justifiable punishment measures to ensure a highly tamper-proof independent energy infrastructure upgrade in order to maintain and grant maximum benefit to all people. And by all people, I mean everybody on this realm. It's not just Milk Marine Energy Productions Limited doesn't really care for political interests. It's more for getting everybody have access to it. Aboriginals, First Nations, us, you, the purple people, the brown people, you know, everybody. Initially, illuminate the way independent energy infrastructure upgrade was designed for Canada. Nonetheless, it can be utilized around the realm. Now, the principles are pretty straightforward. The definitions are pretty straightforward. A lot of the future stuff is more for Canada and kind of North America kind of thing, but still, yet again, the principles in it straightforward and can be used all over. So within the set this one, okay, done that one. Oh, already energy. I think we missed a slide here. This way. No, we're good. Okay, perfect. Okay. Energy is a base establishment in all sectors, industries, markets, and so on. elimination of the detrimental energy supply crisis, and instability of an aging or no infrastructure, with positive and lasting creation of independent energy and associated technological developments can reduce the majority of the hardship placed onto the citizens of the realm by the burgeoning industries. Yes, absolutely. Hundreds of years of burgeoning industries. The ability to gain economic value will be available for common use among the masses, reducing / eliminating many problems that exist currently. Absolutely. Independent energy and the utilization of the associated technological trees and the associated tech 4 principles, then yes, it's the power supply needed to supply any of these existential developments. You know, we're not going to get anywhere with alternative energy, I can tell you that. Debt, homelessness, sickness, pollution, starvation, etc., disappear at quite a substantial rate. The goal to reduce carbon emissions by 2030 can be done to a far greater capacity within 3 to 5 years easily, upon adequate usage of such technology offered with resources and adequate support from the government bodies available. Now, that's what Illuminate the Way Independent Energy Infrastructure Upgrade does, is help the government bodies understand and follow in line and see, oh, this is what we do. You can pass all the information you want off to them, you know, like all these futurists and things like that, publishing novels or whatever. And governments look at it and say, well, what are we supposed to do? So this is talk about the instruction manual saying this is what you do. I'll answer some of these questions here in a little second here. So it starts at the municipal level. Immediately upon commencement of the obligations required, beneficial effects start. It then progresses to the provincial state level, and all regulatory framework is put in place, so the initial energy network and economical gain can be held on course in positive direction. Such motion would travel fast across any country that embraces independent energy and its attached technologies, a push to federal governments into embracing the classification, as well as willingness of the people for such government to do so by acting on the obligations set forth in Illuminate the Way Independent Energy Infrastructure Phase 1, Section 1. I'll pull that up here. 1 sec. How do you... where is it? Oh, I will just finish this and I'll get on with it. It's almost done. So pure energy production can eliminate the greatest changes, all aspects of life. We know that. An installation of independent energy devices and advanced energy management system provide complete power supply, including multi-phasic implementation, allowing for a completely and readily sustainable future. Now, remember, this all involves plasma as well. So, and it covers future plasma developments, hybrid developments, everything. This is our operating standpoint for everything. The principal technologies associated with independent energy have a vast development tree, as you can see with plasma and everything like that. It, you know, beats itself over and over and over every day, doubles. So the 4 principles now have a classification, which is what actually Nikola Tesla was supposed to do, but he got caught up in bloodlust for the other energy companies and the overlords and such like that. He was supposed to actually develop a classification so all these energies can actually operate under. You got alternative energy. We'll go over this in a little bit here. You know, and you'd be like, what's alternative energy? Well, most people think it's just solar, but it's solar, wind, tidal, geothermal, as well as combustion plasma. But then you go, oh, what's plasma? You know, that's a 3-hour explanation. And the first question they're going to say is, what does that mean? There's another 2-hour explanation on that, plus another 1-hour explanation how it correlates with the first topic. You know, so this classification solves a lot of problems for the actual integration into the general public. So, as we see here, the framework for the integration of independent energy with wide open public access to the technologies, independent energy devices, and advanced smart energy management systems are the device and management system definitions that must be followed in order to mitigate a lot of the risks involved with the utilization of independently opening. This is the important part, is that failure to do so will mean open season for this is C&D is cloak and dagger rhetoric by unscrupulous entities. So most people would be like, oh, how is this supposed to protect you? Oh, if they're going to get you, they're going to get you anyway. Well, hey, we've gone farther than about 90% of the other companies, and we're still here. So, but we've done things that everybody else hasn't done, is that you have to create the classification of existence to operate under, then you have to grant it value, then it has to be vetted, and then we'll go over the 4-step process on that a little later here. I hope I'm not boring you guys. Okay, so First Nation Aboriginal communities across the realm are recognized and are graciously welcome to participate and receive their independent energy infrastructure upgrade by providing an official letter of support to Milk Marine Energy Productions Limited on the subject of independent energy. Now, here is, let me just exit out this. Here is what the letter of support looks like. This is from the District of Souk. The official signing was June 30th. And here it is right here. Excellent. So here's the letter of support signed by the mayor. This is the actual digital copy they sent to me. Just 1 second. I said it here. This is the funny thing. If we can go to my... hey, Rick, how do you put it up so it goes back to the main video picture?
Stop the sharing and it'll automatically do that.
How's that?
No, we're still sharing.
Oh, yeah, okay, got it.
Okay, there we can see now.
Oh, there it is. This is the original unopened inked copy of the letter of support signed by the mayor. This is the actual official start of the independent energy revolution, the golden age. You know, they say, you know, the great deception. Well, the golden age is here, people. It's not about Armageddon. It's about not being deceived that the golden age isn't here, but it is. So here it is, the actual... I haven't even opened it because, you know, this is museum worthy. This is the start of it all. This letter right here is what granted value and validation to everything here, the whole classification. It's what made it into existence. So
tell people briefly what you did to get that letter. You had to go to council basically and deliver a presentation to the local council in Souk, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I did. And it wasn't just one. I mean, like 6. You try to talk about independent energy infrastructure upgrade, illuminate the way, the definitions, advanced range management systems, the utilization capabilities, blah, 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 in 5 minutes. And, you know, I've done council meetings all over Nanaimo, all over this Southern Island, Victoria, Langford, Colwood, and I'm going to do another round coming here right away. I'm actually pushing the District of Souk to do a joint press conference for the actual mainstream release of independent energy. Everybody seems to know. The globalists know, deep state knows, Trump administration knows. That's why he's destroying NAFTA and the TPP, because it destroys the intellectual barriers which make it so independent energy can flow freely, especially in the US, because right now, due to NAFTA, there's intellectual property barriers. Naturally, the analyticals think that Canada's at a disadvantage, or a lot of countries made, but NAFTA is just North America, but Canada's at a disadvantage, Mexico's at a disadvantage to the US due to the volume of patents, copyrights, you know, everything like that in the US database. But when you look at value, is independent energy, pardon my word here, trumps them all by hands over fist. So Canada actually has the advantage when those barriers go down, because independent energy is pretty well right now in fictional positive value debt notes, which would be fiat currency, is worth in the billions just with this one letter of support. And we're going to be going over that, how each letter of support, official letter, like this is an official, I'll screen share here again, just give me a sec. 1 sec here, share screen. And there we go. Okay, so this is an official letter of support, file number, everything. This is what municipalities need to do. We don't, and as it states, I'll pull it up here, right here. This is the actual document you can find at the souk.ca website, June 26th. I've submitted it actually a few times. This is the finalized copy of it. But as it states here, because this is phase 1, section 1, municipal movement, that's the actual name of the one part here. And there's 2 more parts after that for section 1. And as I state all the time, like especially as you'll see on council videos, I do have a few. Don't know if I have time to go over them all, but as I state here, the first paragraph of the municipal movement section, page 2 of the document, says the goal is to spark the initiative for all the municipalities to follow along and set the stage for the infrastructure upgrade. Municipalities do not need any sort of provincial or federal approval to take the initiative and push for active and immediate changes. Well, that definitely is true, because look at there. there's the action, there's the support, there's what made it go. Well, the actual original signing of the document was June 30th. So the day before Canada Day, it's almost like a like the day before Christmas kind of thing. Nothing was stirring, but everybody was looking at Canada Day, and nobody was looking at the municipal level, where we got a unanimous, I can probably quickly find the video, but we got a unanimous, when Mayor Maitai said, anybody opposed? I swear you could hear crickets in there from outside because it was so silent. Unanimous approval. They vetted all the information as they did a report gathering thing, as it is in the Standard Community Charter Act, what they have to do. And they presented it, and here it is, June 30th, Canada Day. Happy birthday, Canada, happy birthday, world. Okay, so let's continue. For a quick outline of what the actual energy systems, I'm not talking about the actual devices, but I'm talking about the actual control segments of the energy, of how the government and all that saw it, and how it controlled and everything like that. That's these two pictures right here. And I explained it the one time when I was over at your house, Rick, there, when I remember I did that little short presentation about it with the little drawings and stuff like that. It was a few months ago or whatever. So you'll remember this one. Okay, I gotta share this window. One sec. Okay, there it is. Oh, I'm trying to. How do I get out of this screen?
Okay.
There we go. Oh, there we go.
We see the picture there of free energy over unity drawing or whatever.
Okay, I think I just lost one here. No, that's not it. I have to go back into. It was 2018. Sorry if this is. I don't mean to razzle dazzle, but okay, there it is. Can you guys see this one?
Not yet. No, it's not on the screen. Or you have to reshare it, I think.
Okay, just one sec. Stop share. Okay, there we go. Alrighty. Okay, so here it is. This is the way it was set up before the actual official signing of the document. The 26 approval was great, but it actually went down to the official signing of the document, which makes the official document value granted to independent energy definitions, principles, two-phase structure, everything. This is what started it. And it's on the pre-terms of how they always say there's a fourth industrial revolution. But the thing is there has to be the energy quotient there for that industrial revolution to take place. And there has to be the energy types to sustain that quotient needed for that revolution, which is, they're right about, there's an energy revolution, but it's not some alternative energy revolution or anything. It's the independent energy revolution. So here it is. Here's how they put it, as there's two definitions of free energy, is Nikola Tesla's version of free energy, which is down here, which is over unity, creating more energy than it uses, as this term free energy, which is commonly misconcerned with the energy is free. Of course, the initial installation of device building isn't. But illuminate the way independent energy infrastructure upgrade makes that free. So here's free energy, how the government saw it, and how they got everybody on it was free dash energy, which is simply just creating a system that performs work. That's what it means. A bicycle is free energy device. Word free energy, our bodies do free energy. It creates more energy than the food we ingest, depending on how fit you are, right? So here's what it was under. So it's open, regulated, of course. It was, both of these were known as alternative green energy, so there's no segmentation, no difference between them all. It's all mashed together. It's how they like to confuse everybody. So solar, geothermal, plasma, wind, combustion plasma, of course, wind, and tidal. These were the ones that are openly allowed, as it's down here, open. So these were openly allowed to be developed in the public. Alternative, green energy, great. How thrilling. Supplementary, never prime power sources ever. That was a deception they did. And how they'd always, go after things about free energy devices that provide over unity, like how they've done it with the Keshe how they done it with Milk Marine Energy Productions. We've defeated them just like Keshe has been doing. So this all helps you guys out too as well, massively. It's our whole operating thing to get it out to the public in entirety without being worried about any type of backlash and everything, because there is no grass being cut, so there is no merit for backlash. Plus, they have no jurisdictional standing to do it either, due to the protections that have been purposely created. So here's how it is. Natural electromagnetics, plasma, field plasma, 0-point energy, and geometric energy. Those were always concealed for a couple hundred years. Now what happens, let me switch this, is as of June 30th, 2017, after the official signing of the document, this is what happened, changed to the power structure, is that free energy and free energy, free dash energy, is actually united. So now free energy is creating a system that performs work, and that work is over unity. There you go. And they work in conjunction instead of one over the other. And now both of these are open. Alternative energy, green energy, is still heavily regulated. Independent energy is non-regulated, other than the base definitions and principles of, what we're doing right now. That's the only really regulation as it so far, and illuminate the way for the base infrastructure of participating measures. So here's alternative green energy. Now the energies are segmented so that they're not under one jurisdictional mashing. And as with everything that is in our society, there's three things attached to it. There's market, there's value, and definition. Definition is the most important, because definition grants how much something is to be valued, as well as how it is to be valued. Or I can't remember offhand, I was getting into this. So let's go back to it. And now independent energy is segmented with its own market value definition. Not market value, but market / value / definition for natural electromagnetics, plasma, 0-point energy, and geometric energy. Now it's open. Both these are open to the public. As long as we follow the definitions, then you shouldn't run into any problems. As far as when Illuminate the Way independent energy infrastructure upgrade gets established into your local community, anywhere in the world, really, the thing is that for getting into the access to the independent energy devices, we'd actually, as Milk Marine Energy Productions Limited, or our LLC, which is what we'll have to do for going worldwide, for corporate law. And for that, then we inspect the proposed device that you'd want to put into operation under Illuminate the Way to make sure that it fulfills its stated definitions. Stick to the definitions, or it's open season for that C and D shit. They're gonna get you, and you can try to refute it or whatever like that, but hey, I'm still here, and we've gone farther than a lot of people have. So people and corporations, where are all these things other than cash out there, right? Like, oh, it's nowhere. That's what's going on. I see you're getting comments, so I'll continue on here with the presentation. So that's what the energy structure is now, and the globalists know it. Everybody knows it other than the public. That's why we're doing the press conference for the foundation to also go by independent energy and everything like that. It will help out immensely. Everybody immensely. You guys, everybody. It's our operating structure. Okay, so I'm going to go back to 1 second. I'm kind of glad I dressed up today, eh? Trying to get business done, dress business to do business, and I tell you. Okay, so we're back to here, slideshow, from current slide. Okay, so here's how it'll go. All communities, municipalities can also participate by following the guidelines as the District of Souk has done, and it'll be used as a template. So the council meetings, which don't have to be council meetings, they can just be meetings. Even digital council meetings, I've seen that done before, and especially down in the States, and for long distance authorizations, then yes, definitely a video meeting would be satisfactory. So there's always the steps that have to be followed. Initial briefing, which, because the information is, it's not like just a few megabytes of information what independent energy covers. Independent energy is like teraquads of information that your mind has to digest. So it's not a learning curve, it's learning cliff. So get your climbing shoes on. An initial briefing, then corresponding QA period, followed by another meeting / briefing. And then once understanding is completed, then an official letter of support can be created and accepted. And as a letter of support for the district of Sioux, it's another template. It does not affect access to the actual independent energy. It's the failure to follow the procedure will deny communities access to Illuminate the Way, which is the no-cost, smooth flow assembly line-like seamless integration of independent energy devices and advanced smart energy management systems. So, but it does not block access to doing like, hardwiring independent energy devices and all that stuff. So it doesn't block independent energy. It's more about the program. So if you don't want to wait for the Illuminate the Way, then of course you can always buy the device and installation, everything like that. Because it's not just about, as independent energy and Milkberry Energy Productions Limited as independent energy specialists, we are fluent in all 4 principles of independent energy. So not only plasma, but natural electromagnetics, geometric energy, 0-point energy. So, and the ability to do hybrids with all those principles and everything like that. So there will be, this is huge. Now here's where we go on to value, and this is the big thing, is value. And in a fictional world, which our societies and everything, especially Commonwealth countries, are based on fiction and words, and how one word could be your downfall or it could be your glory. So that's one thing why you'll see the abbreviations in Energy-IE and everything like that as specific guidelines. So when you we refer to it like that. Of course, talking is independent energy. You're not going to say dash bracket IE bracket. You're not going to say that, of course, but grammatically, yes. And that's what makes it so they cannot play around with it. And, because the main thing of copyright is protecting the integrity of the documents and stuff like that. And because Illuminate the Way uses the definitions and principles as well as the definitions and principles being copyrighted as well, there's dual protections on that. So it makes it really difficult even for the fair use policy to kind of jing any information in there other than what's already presented. So, but the value of independent energy with its associated definitions and principles doubles for every valid community that shows its support and willingness to participate. So as I said before, it's already in fictional positive value debt notes, fiat currency, it's already worth billions, a few billion in just with this letter of support. Now every other letter of support will double that value, of course, because what is value? We create what is value. So it's the creation of value and the recognition of value that the people get access to. So it doubles for every valid community that shows its support and willingness to participate, thus provides for the independent energy infrastructure upgrade in the community that showed its official support upon leveraging value gained. And now that's what's happening here, is because every letter of support grants such a great value. That's why there's a no-cost, smooth flow assembly line-like seamless integration, is because that value covers any type of cost or anything for the installation. Of course, you don't have to wait for all this. You can do it beforehand. So, Illuminate the Way is kind of optional unless the municipalities, provincial, federal government, everything is in place already. So independent energy has a high negative value, and negative value is good value. Negative value is like gold, tangible. It's not fiction. So it has a high negative value, being backed by tangible assets and efficient utilization of corresponding principles. And that's why the principles and the definitions are so high strung, where you can try to manipulate words or anything, but it just won't come to the same value as what is being presented. So it holds great leverage over fictional positive value debt notes, fiat currency. And in other words, I say this all the time, don't worry, when you have something with high negative value, fictional positive value debt notes will come out of the woodwork. So that's a good one. 1 second. We'll go back to here. So that is the one presentation. You can find all this on you can either just Google my name, and most of the council meetings and all the documents will pop up. The agenda and minutes for the Sioux council meeting will show supporting documents as well. We have everything. You can look up CIPO, Canadian Intellectual Property Office, for the copyrights on independent energy and everything like that. So everything's protected, everything's ready to go. It grants us, I'm just trying to get back to 1 sec here. There it is. Okay, perfect. So, you know, independent energy's thing is the classification. I just saw actually on a few of the forums and stuff like that, people were talking about terminology. Well, yes, in a fictional system, which is criminal law, which is corporations, Canada's persons, those are fiction. So in fictional system, independent energy is the trump card. They have nothing. They have no market. They have no value, no definition. If a government or controlling body controls one of those, they can manipulate the other two. So, as I was trying to say before, I got all confused there. Was about market value definition. Is that the stronger the definition, the greater the value, and then the I can't remember. I'll go back to that one again. It's right on the tip of the noggin here. Yes, yeah, I actually I have made multiple units, and what I've been doing is actually making units in all four principles. So natural electromagnetics, plasma, zero-point energy, and geometric energy. And I got hybrids right now. I got the archaic dinosaur in the other room here behind me. It's mainly natural rotary electromagnetics. It's not multiphasic though. It's single phase. So it's primitive dinosaur. It does 7.6 kilowatts at 80 amps. Self-sustainable. That's usable. So that's fine. I just need to get a Westinghouse breaker to get it going here. And then I have the other one, which is natural electromagnetics as well as plasma. It's a very cool one. It's about 5 by 6 inches. It's out in the garage. And then I have also the principle 2 and principle 4, so plasma and geometric energy device out in the yard. It's mixed between resonators and wired pyramids, and all the way down to the square resonance chamber tubes and coils going up there, and resonators. And I've seen crazy things. You know, you look at November 2nd, November 3rd, on actual SSEC geostationary satellite imaging and everything like that. You look from that evening to that night, you'll actually see eyes in the water vapor at 6.9 microfarads. You'll actually see a hand reaching from Alaska, and you can see a shoulder, elbow. I actually have the picture. Let me see if I can find it. I know it's on my Facebook, but oh, there it is. Now watch, I'll share this. Pretty creepy. And there was actually a whole video, and you see the eye, and it focused in like how Jay was talked about, how the eye kind of like focused, and it looked at you like almost right through quantumly, right through the computer screen. And it's like, whoop. These are just still pictures, but you can look up from November 2nd in the evening to November 3rd midday, and you'll see it. It's pretty wild.
Maybe
so
you can put a link in the chat for people to click on, Peter.
Oh, for like the
well, for your Facebook or other whatever you want to lead people to get more information.
Oh, all you'd have to do is just type my name. Everything's there. Like, just type my name in Google and you'll find it all. Council meetings, Milk Marine Energy Products Limited, my personals, you know, everything like that. Facebook profile, Peter Milk, of course. There is LinkedIn. I haven't updated it in a while, but definitely. So it's just standard Peter Milk at Facebook, so you can find out everything there, as well as Milk Marine Energy Products Limited. I'll spell it here for you. Fast typer, I tell you. Alrighty, there's what you type in if you want to find the business on Facebook as well. There's a lot posted on there. And if you just Google my name or go to this souk.ca, go to www.souk.ca, you can go to online services, agenda minutes. You can see the documentation, pages June 26th, pages 203 to 209. And that covers all the supporting documentation, the draft letter support, illuminate the way, independent energy infrastructure upgrade, phase 1, section 1, municipal movement, which describes the obligations of what the municipalities are going to do. Like, get this, Souk is actually doing it. is, I'll pull it up here. Oh, that's a letter of support. Okay, just let me screen share and check this out. It's pretty wild. Okay, so here's municipal movement as the obligations of what they're doing. So what's going on in Souk right now, which as of June 30th, the official sign of the document, became the first municipality in not only Canadian history, but world history to support the use of the advanced technologies and associated principles and definitions of independent energy. Yay, happy Canada Day, all that good things. So historical value there, but any community and everything can embrace it, and it can go worldwide. So every letter of support doubles that value, and that's what what we want is the value, so that that value can go right back into the citizens. You know, here's, just get this. So this is already happening in Souk. Okay, so now here's the obligations for the municipality to receive, that they have to complete to receive the no-cost infrastructure upgrade, the no-cost smooth flow assembly line like seamless into infrastructure upgrade. So now permits for independent energy installations can be classified with a specific code marker that will help with rapid processing of installations that require building permit acquisitions. Now, naturally, like in BC, let's take, for example, you go through the provincial BC Safety Association to get an electrical installation permit. But sometimes installations need structural remodeling and things like that, which you'd have to get a building permit for. In Souk anyway, but it could be different at other places. But so that just does that. Now, the reduction of building permit prices by 30 to 50% for independent energy installations. That's even off of new developments. So you go do the, you know, building permit. Oh, I'm installing independent energy as well. Okay, well, that's discounted. As well as you'll see here, it'll be start at 50% for the initial market and then slowly dropping down to a minimum of 30% once volume builds. It'll create the ability for volume permit applications to be achieved, as well as an adequate incentive for new developments to happen in the local area. The goal is to maintain the optimal efficiency to procure the assembly line effect. Now that helps out with providing the demand needed for the assembly line. Of course, you know, when you look at total accessible market, it's pretty much 100% with independent energy because everybody needs it. That's the thing. So this is the beautiful part about it, is that added equity value from independent energy devices and advanced smart energy mount system installations will be non-taxable and exempt from property taxes as well as point of sale by acquisitioning a change of policy from BC Assessment, which, as the letters of support, grant that motion. So we can start, you know, pushing that. Initially, property tax assessment values is usually provincial jurisdiction. So the final yay, which they will be forced into pretty well, will of course have to come from them. But Souk and the districts and all the municipalities can be prepared with all these obligations so that as soon as it says yes, green light, boom, already done. Overnight. That's designed to be overnight. So the property taxes, by acquisitioning a change policy from BC Assessment, installations will be adding anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 worth of equity per installation. Now, this is based on electricity and income generating abilities. It also is based on what principles you use, what type of materials. Are you going to use conventional? Are you going to use nanotech? You know, throw in some magnetic bearings and some fractal resonators, and you know, it's quite amazing. The open technological development trees of independent energy and its four principles. So this leverage, so $30,000 to $60,000 worth of equity per installation based on electricity income generating abilities. That's depending if legislation exists for it. Remember, advanced energy management systems, it's easy just to go off grid. You know, come on. Municipalities are enabled and encouraged to endorse Smoke Green Energy Productions Limited, which a lot of things, you know, people are like, oh, but you can't own all this and, you know, free technology, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that Milk Marine Energy Productions, it's not like about me. Like personally, I own the copyrights and the stuff in my own personal name. But there's a reason for that. Like here, I'll show you. Just one sec. Got it right here. Okay, check this out. Now, this is the thing with like certificate existence, everything like that. So my corporation is in full existence. This shit has full value, you know, everything. Okay, so here's the Don't know if I can get a good picture, but oh yeah. Okay. That was kind of okay. I'm gonna try and see if I can get it. Okay, so certificate of existence. Melbourne Energy Productions Limited. There we are. There's my business number. You can look it up at the Industry Canada. Now here's the cool parts. So here's the dual protections. A lot of people's like, oh, patents, this, but you can actually do more with copyrights if they're well worded and well placed. You can actually offer more protections by dual copywriting than you can by just doing basic patents. You can do the same thing with industrial design as you can with the patent. So, especially with things like independent energy, little battery. All right, capacitor. Let's see, multiphasic capacitor. I'll show you guys how to do that on Facebook. I'll put it on. So now we got this. Let's see if I can get up here. Here's the actual certificate of registration of copyright. This one is for Definition Advanced Smart Energy Management System. Here is definition of independent energy devices right there. But you notice how it has the bracket around the S right here. You notice how the punctuation bracket IED, as it's stated in the documents and everything, brackets, the acronyms, everything like that. Grammatically, that's how we are supposed to put it in. Grammatically, just putting independent energy, you could be referencing, sure, independent energy, but to be specific and to follow guidelines, we always do, when doing grammatics, we always do the dash brackets, IED, or is. So it's part of that fiction thing, right? When things are words and words, just like people get confused 2 for 1. Did you know legally if you put an of, so price of 2 for 1, and as long as it's in 12 font, it's considered legible. And so if someone brings up an item worth $1, you ring up $2. Hey, what's that? Hey, it's price of 2 for 1, right? So it's in a fictional system, it's all based on words, fiction, right? So that's that. There's all the protections right there. 1 second, I just got up quickly. That's a cat and freaking out. Give me 3 seconds.
Well, it's quite a presentation. It's
Okay.
okay. Hello.
Already. Just gotta install the mic again. So it's quite interesting. Any questions so far?
Yeah, let's see if there's some questions here. It's quite a long presentation.
It's a lot of information.
Quite complex. It's a lot of information. I've seen a lot of it before, so it kind of it makes sense to me. But it is lengthy and quite intellectual in terms of its application. But it's all good stuff. Alper has lots of good comments there. Anybody else that would like to ask a question of Peter here?
It says Jay says, where does Keshe Foundation Tech come in? Well, that'd be Principle 2 mainly. For their independent energy would be Principle 2 for plasma, which is referenced as field plasma and not combustion plasma, because combustion plasma is alternative energy as it requires fuel. Even if it's hydrogen and it's abundant as hell, it's still classified as a fuel. That's why it's called a hydrogen fuel cell, so there's the thing with that. The Keshe Spaceship Institute will benefit greatly for embracing independent energy classification and operating measures, because it offers that great protection and dissolution of the resistance that the Keshe Foundation has received already and has continuously received. So it'll grant, when people say, it's like this, oh, what's solar? Oh, solar's alternative energy. Then it'd be like, oh, what's plasma? Blah, and then 2-hour description, like you said before. Oh, what does that mean? Another 2-hour description on the corollary, So now it's, oh, what's plasma? Oh, plasma is Principle 2 of independent energy. Or even just plasma's independent energy. Oh, what's independent energy? Independent energy is a fuelless, emissionless source of continuous renewable energy based on the principles of natural rotoelectromagnetics, plasma, zero-point energy, and geometric energy. Simplifies things, makes it accessible. It's here. It's now. It has existence. It has value. and that's vetted value. So everybody knows it. The globalists know it, deep state knows it, CIA know it, NSA know it, Russia knows it, Trump knows it. Everybody knows it, other than the public. So now is the remember, there's three things of truth, and sometimes you'll hear tidbits of this.
That last sentence was worth the price of admission there, Peter. It was wrapped up pretty good. And the way you said it there is nice. So this is the big thing. You've essentially put it in a palatable package, you might say, for the government to chomp on, and now they have something.
Absolutely.
It's something solid. And it makes it solid. It's otherwise it's it's an etheric idea until it becomes solidified with the words, the correct words, the
protections,
the legalities,
and
and that's all the material stuff that's around these etheric ideas that are coming through. So power to you for going through with all that. And
well, that's the big thing about it, right? Is that with everything that's coming to fruition, especially nowadays, you got to think, some people say, go to scientific journals and have them vet the information, but all scientific journals are biased. Look at who owns most of them. You go to all these things when in entirety, everything always starts at the municipal level. No matter what federal things you might think go on or whatever, it always starts at the municipal level. There's always things we can do at the municipal level that people don't realize that are available. Just like how I state there on page 2, how there's no provincial or federal approval needed to take the initiative. And as the letter of support does, it takes the initiative. Now, in entirety, the value granting is a key point in all of this, because it's open not only just to Canadians and Canadian municipalities, communities, but as well as all over the world. So, but the process will still have to be followed, and they'll have time to vet information as well, and question and answer, every single step. So what Sook's been through is actually the template for everybody else. The principles and definitions of independent energy are the template for the actual utilization of that into any type of existing infrastructure. Like I'm doing one, the small one, actually. I'm going to have to do 2 of them because I already got an order for one, but is going to actually go on the boat, on the Haiyu, because we can seriously, once you get fluent with all 4 principles of independent energy and being an independent energy specialist, you just see the options, and a lot of times you're not sticking with just one type, just I'm just doing natural road electromagnetics, or you have to be really advanced in natural road electromagnetics and have complete understanding of the phase ripple and what it can do in order to make natural electromagnetics multiphasic. If you're going to do hard points, hard rotary stuff like that, and not concentrate more on the ambulance of the rotation made in the fields. So, or just, singular plasma, all those 4 principles, everything, natural electromagnetics, plasma, 0-point energy. What's 0-point energy? What's geometric energy? It's shapes, but that's all you ever got. It's just shapes, shapes that do things. Well, great. But there's so many shapes that do so many miraculous things, especially with little charge or frequency across them, and the utilization of them and the capability of hybrids and everything like that. It's absolutely insane. So the Keshe Foundation benefits hugely on the adequate use. Like, I'd like to discuss with Keshe and stuff like that in the foundation, and of course you and the other members and stuff like that, about the open utilization of it, because it'll speed the process along quite rapidly if the foundation starts utilizing the classification to operate under. Like, plasma is still plasma, plasma is plasma, but as under a classification of energy for operation, plasma is an independent energy. So it mitigates the risk, so you don't have to worry about disappearing or your shit getting burnt down. It brings it to the open public, the open general. So now alternative energy can be developed, independent energy can be developed.
One of the things that comes up with Mr. Keshe is he's waiting for the correct time, because we can't be opening up the Pandora's box, as he calls it, which is the energy's just part of it. But it's the core of the levitation technology as well. And everything. So everything comes out. So the thing is, we must have agreement for world peace before all of those parts come bouncing out of the box, because otherwise we'll have buses thrown across the world at each other and stuff like that. And a bus at Mach 40 is equivalent to an atomic bomb, and it's be a messy situation. So we just can't be throwing buses yet. We have to have the part of the structure, and what you're proposing is part of the structure. It starts to get a handle on this kind of stuff.
It's one of the things, like, if you want to look at it like on a, let's just say, divine scale, it'd be like one part of the precursor for humans to receive the enlightenment of the second coming. It's one of the precursors which solves a lot, and I mean a lot, of the problems that need to be solved in order to even be granted the opportunity to be even considered for something like that. Then we can also look at it on more of a human level. In peace, is that independent energy is actually a huge thing for the base establishment of world peace, as it's the principles and definitions which are set forth, which, as you can see, are very specific, and you can't try to wiggle
Exactly.
words
So
around them,
if
you know.
if a war suddenly decides to rear its ugly face, then Mr. Keshe has the option of unleashing this technology, because he's setting up the factories all over the world, and there'll be literally hundreds of them within the 5 years, and be able to produce whatever is required at that time in a very fast manner, as soon as it's needed. But right now, we're in this sort of a gray zone as this transition toward peace keeps churning along. It's still a bit of a delicate situation. We don't know if one side or another is going to start pushing buttons and whatnot. But we can see there's a dismantling of that apparatus happening. And this is part of what you're proposing, is this really a beautiful transition into independent energy. Like you're talking about making this town of Souk, which is almost like a small city now, the way it's growing, becoming independent energy-wise as a community,
Absolutely,
not
with
reliant
full
on the
formed energy web too.
yeah, and actually be able to generate power to help other communities, especially at a time when the main grid goes down. I say when the main grid goes down, because we all know that's probably the most fragile part of the entire North American situation. The grid is there, and if the grid goes down, if the grid goes down in North America, they say that 90% of the population will be dead within a year.
See, this is the thing. This is the thing about independent energy and how it grants knowledge and stability, even in times of natural disaster and stuff like that, is because even if there's parts of that grid infrastructure remaining, so okay, now the grid is static. That's why they need grounds every so often, because the actual demand, like especially out in Souk, is not enough to pull the electricity the 30 kilometers along the line from the substation in Langford. There's not enough demand, so that's why they need the grounds. All the lines are static, and every line goes both ways. So now what happens is that the line going to your house from the pole is static as well. So if you're running independent energy, any of the four principles, or any mix of the four principles, or whatever materials you use, then you actually won't even feel a power outage. And the thing is that especially with advanced smart energy management system, you definitely won't. If you're just running hardwired, you might experience a little flicker, but you probably will not, because you'll be generating far more than that you need for the actual establishment. So and because all those lines are static, then that means it makes it easy for power to flow back into the grid. So even if the main transmission lines are down, as long as there's some infrastructure still remaining, then the existing grounds well installations are taking place, and you can put together parts for independent energy devices for fairly nothing, just like with plasma technology and things like that. You can, if you're resourceful, you can get scrap parts and do amazing things with them.
And possibly transmitted power would be happening at that point as well, because that leaves an opening for that with this kind of setup. It'll be separate from the grid, but able to operate in certain areas, especially remote areas which don't have the grid there initially. Like maybe it'll be a conflicting technology in terms of interrupting with the normal telephone wires.
It's designed. It's
But
designed
if it's
for
remote, it won't matter.
operating at to connection to any grid or off grid or grid interactive, because especially because a lot of the technologies are multiphasic as well. So they'll actually, as far as the grid's concerned, other than the actual power going through them. So like, let's say the infrastructure won't necessarily have to be touched right away, other than a few transformers being placed here and there, until about 60 to, let's use Souk for example, until 60 or 70% of the town is generating its own in the energy web. Then the lines start getting upgraded, to more, they can be fiber optic or whatever, or nanotech, anything like that, graphene. They can be upgraded then. So as far as the actual existing infrastructure, or if there is no infrastructure,
Why not
that's
just get rid of all those ugly telephone wire,
well,
telephone poles,
that's
and
the thing,
everybody, if
right?
everybody had independent energy, and all the factories and all the industry, all the businesses,
And
all
that
the
will come, yeah.
private, even the homeless person on the street has his own independent energy generator. In fact, every human being becomes an independent energy generator in a sense, because we are activating ourselves to become independent from the constrictions of the slave mentality that has been enforced in the last few millennia or so. And now we are becoming our own independent. Look at what you're doing. You're just beaming with this new, information and this new ideas and so on. And you're an energy generator. You're generating energy amongst the council in Souk, among people that hear about this and so on. This is the way of, this is the new way. This is, you're generating value just through your own energy that you're putting out, basically.
Oh,
Right?
absolutely. And of
On
course,
that level,
additional value with letters
and
support
then
and
the
whatnot.
devices and so on, that's just sort of the cream on top of it. That just sort of is the follow through of that. It's our energy as humans that is the value.
It makes us
It's
sovereign.
always
It
been the
makes us
value.
sovereign for
That's
sure.
why we were valued as slaves. But now we're valued because we're independent creators and creating all this additional value for others, essentially, is what it's about. You're to be of service to create, a better situation for others.
Well,
So it
that's why the
seems good.
definitions and everything are so high tuned. That's why everything's rated like initially everything was rated for the advanced smart energy management system because it existed before the independent energy device classification. As the people we get off of, one of the main utilizations of that is the U.S. Marine Corps and stuff, and they use the older versions and stuff like that in a lot of everywhere, destroyers, Abrams, freaking Alaska deserts. So of course there'll be more advanced versions.
You mean the guys that have laptop batteries that last 30 years without
Yeah, that's
without
just using
having to
negative
recharge them?
capacitance.
I've heard.
They're just using negative capacitance to get that extra 1,000% efficiency because you're only
Yeah,
using
and a bit of
like
radioactivity might help as well.
well, try to stay away from radioactive elements, even though they're easily
Well,
neutralized.
radioactive batteries work good. It's just that the public would abuse them if they had them. We'd probably, first thing we do is rip it all apart and see what's in there.
Yeah. Independent energy is designed pretty much for any existing environment. Like we could make independent energy devices even right now that you could submerge at the bottom of the ocean and it wouldn't affect it at all. It'd still be running, generating power, everything like that. And the beautiful part about it is it starts getting us out of the single phase, three phase. It gets us into multiphasic technologies where there is no more 120 volt or 220 volt or 440 volt. Mr. Keshe talks about this all the time with plasma, about how it's on demand and it can do all this simultaneously, no matter what the amperage is to its capacity and everything like that, but it can do all voltages simultaneously, multiphasic, of course.
Right.
So it's the open utilization of all of this, and it's what Nikola Tesla was actually supposed to do. If you read his and actually look at his last interview that they just brought out of when he's an old man, he actually states in there about halfway through it, as he talks about his bloodlust, and he talks about how he bloodlusted against the governments and the existing energy companies, Benjamin Franklin, all those thieves, Einstein, the shill, and all that. So true, but still, he got off topic there, and it was detrimental to us for obviously a couple hundred years. He was supposed to create the classification that is being created now, and that's one of the reasons why I noticed Keshe was having problems too, as well, is because of the operating classifications that plasma was getting pushed under. Is getting pushed under alternative energy, and that's already highly regulated and manipulated by the deep state and the shadow empire. So now that independent energy, they do not have any control over, because the reason why I put it into my personal name is not because I personally control it. It's because it's easy to attack a corporation, but even if they try to say national security, due to the fact that I'm a free will living human being not attached to my legal fiction, but I use it out of private necessity to maintain my lifestyle, even if they claim it as a national security thing, they cannot take that from me personally, because I'm not attached to that fictional entity, Corporation Canada. So that copyrighted property would be considered real property, and under common law, which would be God's law, land law. Then you'd go to international maritime law, which is real law. Criminal law is fake, real estate law is fake. Legal fiction, which is the exact entirety of pretty much a lot of the countries in the world, is all fake, fictional positive value debt notes. That's what all the fiat currencies and stuff are. But that's what independent energy is so good at, is because its value is negative value. It's great value. It's tangible assets. It's knowledge, stability, tangible. Look at fiat currency. It's all fear. Oh, but it's devalued to 0.00001%. But it's all, oh yeah, it's worth. So there is no more none of that. This exists now. Independent energy exists. It has value. It's vetted information. All these organizations know about it, and they're starting to come forward about it too as well. I've noticed a lot of the other guys, take a Bendini generator, right? That's natural rotary electromagnetics right there. I wish they'd utilize more plasma technology and nano coatings into that, but that's natural rotary electromagnetics. You might hear things like Humagens, all these different names and stuff like that, but that's what makes it confusing, is that they're just names, and really the names have no value. Even natural electromagnetics or plasma, those names really don't have too much value unless it's associated correctly with. But now that all of them are tied together, they all have value, great value, because now they can all be openly developed and not be singled out. So, you can single out plasma. Oh, you can't, suppress. You can single out natural electromagnetics, suppress, all of them. You can single them out. They group together the ones they want, single out the other ones. But now there's this group, there's this group. Alternative energy, green energy, solar, wind, tidal, geothermal, plasma combustion, independent energy, natural rotary electromagnetics, plasma field, 0-point energy, and geometric energy. So it's the key point to it all. And I do understand what Keshe is saying there when he says he's waiting for the right time. Well, that time is now. Sure, plasma technology can do crazy things. Natural electromagnetics, all of them can. All of them can do destructive things. All of them can do beautiful things. Like we already have in design already, N-CVC and the N-CFA, which are the actual cleaning tools used to clean this realm. The N-CVC can actually clean solid state matter and liquid, as well as the N-CFA does vapors and gases. And now those are pretty much whatever it's programmed to within the field radius, you'll take it. So like, let's say you put an aluminum can in that field and it's programmed to aluminum, you'll see that thing dissolve and get sucked into the machine, so it can get rid of chemtrails. All these things can be filtered out but as you said too, Rick, is that the classification is needed to exist, because in order for all these devices and things and extrapolis ideas to exist, there has to be that source of energy that exists. But we have to have access to that source of energy, which the classification of independent energy does. It grants us that access to that energy to extrapolate all these, imaginative ideas that are perfectly valid. Like what Jay was saying there, divination of water, especially charged water like plasma, it does have the ability to refract images when especially sunlight refracts on it. So you get a little fractal portal kind of thing. A little bit understandable. Okay. but it is intricate to whatever your perception is, because we do make our own perception, as what Keshe says with intention. You are a reactor, your intent, right? So then you got to calculate it in everything else too. Nanosaturation of the air from the chemtrails. You have purified air quality, because if even doing CO2 GANs, when you talk about field and how it's an ambient technology, if it can read your intentions, then that means it can take intentions and even digital intentions from like 5G and shit, because they can do digital demonic portals from that area around you. And because it's that ultra saturated, that means it's a great signal amplifier. So not only can these evil things do that, but it can also manipulate things like plasma. So even if you're doing CO2, especially if you're doing it for healing, doing the water and stuff like that, you got to specifically separate your environment, even from the ultra saturation of air. Like usually you would look at a level 3 air containment unit, but I can show you guys on Facebook there how to make a ordinary house fan using $20 into a laboratory quality air purifier, which does smoke, smog, dust, dander, pollen, dust mites, mold, fungi. You can even get the ones that do viruses and bacteria. And you can turn any area, I'm telling you, within 10 minutes, any size area, you should have it in your shops, especially dealing with plasma, because the ambient technologies, the cleaner the environment, the better, right? The cleaner our intentions, the better. So it's the same thing as with any ambient technology, as it is all under independent energy. So it's just, I want you all just try and practice saying it when you're talking it to people. So how we always talk to people and they always look so confused, like blah blah blah. You say something, they're like, yeah, okay, and you can tell they have no clue, and you just want to walk away. You get pissed off. Oh God, nobody understands. So now it's with independent energy. It's something that everybody can understand. So try it out and see how people react to it. Stick with the definitions. Look at the definitions, research them. Know them, so you can easily access it and try it out on people, and you'll see how different the reaction is, and the knowledge capability of them understanding what you're saying. Because just like with plasma.
I tried the phrase independent energy generator, just to play with that with people, and it clicks. People understand what you're talking about. Oh, independent energy generator. It just they go together. Like as soon as you say independent, that clicks with people. Then energy, that clicks with people, and then generator is like, oh, I see. Yeah, it's independent and it generates energy. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. It's
absolutely. It's best to classify it as a device, though, just so for reference point, if they actually look it up, they can see independent energy device, because they don't just, a lot of them don't just generate electricity. They can do quite a few other things, like the Principle 2 and 4 device I have outside. Not only does it do negative capacitance, but it also produces.
Well, that's the great thing about the name, is it's multi-dimensional, right? Like I said, it could apply. It could apply to the human being that we're looking at right here, Peter, or anybody. We are independent energy generators ourselves, and that's the great thing about it. Before, we thought that we had to be controlled as humans, but now we can be independent energy. We were hooked into the grid. Now we're hooked into a different kind of grid, where we're independently generating the energy for the grid rather than just taking from the grid. Because as slaves, we take from the grid. The grid feeds us, and the grid does everything, and we do our labor in exchange. But in this case, we're generating our own energy and reaping the rewards of it, basically, because we are independent energy generators. That is the reward in itself. We have that freedom. And that's what people will have, especially in an area like we live in, where it's a beautiful rainforest part of the world here, and there's a lot of remote areas that they don't have roads that you can get to, and you wouldn't want to put in roads and telephone poles and all that stuff. It'd be way too expensive, and it would ruin the area. But if we can levitate to those spots, have independent energy generation, and live our lives as we see fit with, very fast transportation, but still able to be in that remote area that you desire to live in, and so on.
Oh,
It's a
that's why
perfect.
it's
It's a
that's why it's all
perfect thing.
been, initially. See, naturally you'd think that things like this with such great value, there'd be like little kind of flaws here and there, but the definitions spent the most time on them because they're the most important. And that's the reason why the definitions are so high class and there's no wiggle room and especially in a fictional society where it's all about words, it's worded very, very, very good. You can try to pick it apart, you try to do whatever, but it has value. So the thing with that and how it's so defined to initially defined, there's no startup, oh, it can do these things. It's no, it does these, capable of anywhere in the realm, any type of environment, minus 60, 120 degrees, desert, under the ocean, whatever. We can do that. That's so infrastructure, like for power lines and stuff like that, they are already, obviously they've been obsolete for actually quite a long time. They do have use, like during the initial integration of independent energy, and they do have use as the energy web network that grants additional stability, things like that. In the initial, before everybody gets 100% independent
Well,
energy,
we can see
then
that in Souk
you,
with perhaps with the Aboriginals in Souk who have the Aboriginal community in Souk is the most energy independent in North America, I believe.
yeah, you're talking about the
They have
Tasuk Res One solar panels. Yeah,
solar panels, but it's
garbage.
to well, it's to their credit that they're actually independent. Uh, Finally, this year, they're actually independent of the grid in the sense that they could conceivably, exist on their own, perhaps with some battery backup to really make that system work. But it's interesting how your system, your ideas can integrate what they have
Well,
and
the
work
advanced
with that.
the advanced energy management system can integrate with any alternative energy or independent energy. So that's nothing there. As far as for what the Res One for the Sioux Nation solar panels, first of all, though that installation was very, very shady and caused detriment to the actual families of the Sioux Nation there. Many of them got kicked out for that. And then when you look at the finances and where the power sell back, because most of that's actually being sold, the reserving and actually using much of it. And that's not even going back to the reserve actually. So this is actually going to help them out as well. Because look at all the space it takes up. It takes up a football field. Why when I can do an independent energy device? I like device because it's more fluent. The independent energy generator is kind of weird. Sounds weird to me, but yes, it does do that. That's true. I like the classification independent energy device. It's a little more
Right. Yeah,
and
that's better. Thanks.
yeah, and because remember especially when we elate independent energy and stuff like that, it's good to be right specific, because an independent energy, just like independent energy generation, that's great, but you need a device to do it. We are independent energy devices because we're capable of more than just generating energy. As independent energy devices are. Look at plasma; you can generate energy and heal at the same time. It does it at the same time. Things like that. So it's when it comes down to it,
Exactly.
it comes down to the wording, and that's why you see all the abbreviations and the brackets and and that's why in the actual letter here, I'll pull up the letter of support again. Just 1 second here. I'll show you something here, and this is what makes it so that they can't manipulate it and things like that. They can try to change words and stuff like that, but when you follow specifically to that as the definition state, then they can't fiddle with any of the definitions stuff. So here I'll share it and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, watch. Now, this is an official letter, so it's official, valid. So now, as you'll see here, they even followed right here, as you'll see right there, independent energy devices with the brackets on the S dash IED as it states in the copyrighted definitions itself. I can go like this with the certificate of registration and it'll be exactly the same spelling. And it has to be like that, especially grammatically in reference, because when you start referencing to it, especially words, not so much, but grammatically, especially when you start referencing to things like that, it can be misconstrued and stuff. So that's why it's always good, independent energy device. it explains more than just generation, of energy. It explains a lot more utilization and things like that. So that's what it is more, in the fictional society and words and all that shit. So that's what it's about, and the protections as is. So that's what our operating standpoint is, Kesh. Any country, really, as long as we stay within the operation guidelines of the definitions and principles. So the principles are the types of energy, 4 types of energy, which cover, obviously hundreds of thousands of devices, and not just energy output either. So that covers that. Illuminate the Way is the program for the governments to go, oh, this is what we do. Oh, we do this. That works. Bang, there's that. The value granted covers, all the stuff when it gets going. And then the mitigation of the risk from the unscrupulous agencies, stuff like that. They have no standpoint. Not even, as it stands right now, not even a secret court can authorize direct action because they do not hold any of the 3 values: market, value, or definition. As an example, look at the real estate market. Okay, you got market value, which explains the value of a whole market. Really, technically, it doesn't exist, but grammatically, it's incorrect. But so market value. So when they're actually saying wrong when they say your house has a market value of this. So what they're saying is that your house has the whole value of that market. It has to be your house has this value on this market. But they combine the two because they control the definition. So, and that's the thing, is that because they don't have any of those 3, then they have to follow along, and they cannot try to legislate against, because it'll be copyright infringement and plagiarism, and that can go on an international level too. Like I could file to an international court, even to the UN, and say, hey, you guys are da 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 da, and a trade agreement, blah blah blah, or there's a lot. So we just follow definitions and everything goes off without a hitch. It's as simple as that. People wonder why, what's this, what's that? Oh, it's independent energy, it's principle this, it's principle that. Here's a definition. Oh, what's an independent energy device? It's a blah, blah, blah. It makes it real simple and tangible for everybody to get access to. Adaptable for any environment, standpoint for what we need. It's pretty much it is the next step. As Keshe says, he's waiting for the next step. Well, here it is. Because it's the open door for even the Keshe Spaceship Institute to do your factories. And, oh yeah, you have factories, but what are you producing? Oh, we're producing independent energy devices. Oh, so what's the main principles you're working under? Oh, we're principle 2 and principle whatever, or we do a lot of principle 2, or all that type of things. It opens up all that whole new segment, whole new market. The value's there. It has strong definition, tamper proof. Illuminate the Way is tamper proof. I've had arguments with Guy there, like discussions, right? About how if you give this energy to the good, everybody, then the good and the bad, both sides will get it, right? That may be true. But when Illuminate the Way independent energy infrastructure upgrade is followed, there is many, as I stated in the presentation, there is many anti-corruption measures as well as just punishment measures. So let's take this, for example. Now, as it states in an independent energy device, an advanced smart energy management system installation, on average can generate 11 to 22,000 tax-free supplemental a year. And now what happens is, let's say in a rental situation, and now this will be the anti-corruption measures and the just punishment for violating them. Okay, so now let's say you get, for that installation, of course, in a rental situation, the landlord / owner of the property would have to sign for it, do the contract. Everything's contracted. So you can't wiggle out of it, and you can't do all this shit and try to manipulate things. It's contracted, where you can get audited at any time, and misappropriation of a digital cent will be grievous fines. So here's the example. So $22,000 tax-free a year. Okay. So now what happens in a rental situation by contract, and this is in Illuminate the Way under Slum Solution. So what happens is that, and it's international as well, and municipal. So it's referenced a few times as a base framework. So what happens is that 22,000 gets divided in half. Now 11,000 goes, or whatever amount goes, to the landlord, but it has to be in an interest holding account like the security deposit, and it can only be utilized for the renovation and maintenance of the property. One digital cent misallocation, $250,000 fine. It's designed to utterly destroy people trying to take advantage of it. look at all this that's being granted. Of course, people are going to try and take advantage. You won't be so willingly enticed to if you know that you can be audited at any time and suffer such heavy loss. It's designed to take them. Oh, you didn't do this. There goes your praise. You know, there's no. We don't want that type of tampering and stuff like that. So, and then the other 11,000. Let's say your rent is $1,000 a month. Okay, so we add that up for the year. 1,000 times 12, 12,000. There we go. So now what happens is that 12,000 gets subtracted from the 11,000, 1,000. That 1,000 that is at the end of the year gets divided over 12. Then hey, that's how much you pay every month. So if your rent is under the prescribed amount, you get money back. If it's not, then you get discount. You know, and that's all. That'll all be contracted. Look at cost of living deductions, which you'll actually watch the cost of living go and the all dollar values fiat currency go whoop. And the reason why is that's contracted on a commercial level. Now, energy is a base factor in retail value. It's 60% of the price we pay. So now what happens is when we get rid of that value in order to avoid corruption, all the corporate companies and industries and stuff like that will be physically contracted so that, let's say, a grocery store, they spend $30,000 every 2 months because of all the coolers and shit for that's their cost, right? $30,000 operating cost for electricity. Now what happens is that when we do the installation stuff like that, they actually will be contracted, and it's always that the amount used will always be, you'll always generate more than you need. It's always designed like that, so you don't have to worry. Even the basic installations for residentials is always going to be more than the place actually needs, for stability, of course. So let's go back to the grocery store. So now what happens is it's $30,000 every 2 months. Okay, cool. So we do the installation. They don't have that in there anymore. So what happens is that they actually get contracted by Milk Ranch Craftsman's Limited to drop service costs dollar for dollar for the amount of energy they saved. Now it's not like them, you know, there's no more profiteering is what it's doing. So there's no more 200% profit margins. What happens is that we'll actually analyze every single item they have. So let's say if they have 30,000 items and they save $30,000, they drop every item by $1. And it goes down to, depending on the industry and whatnot, to 10 to 20% profit margins. So there's going to be a little thinning of the belt for the fat cats, but the middle classes and lower classes will get the benefits because at that, let's say the store doesn't have enough to do that entire 30,000. So now the rest goes into employee wages and things like that. Now, not a lot of stores and stuff like that won't have enough inventory to totally go, you know, use up 100% of the energy they save, amount of money they save from energy. So there will, of course, be more going into employee benefits. There's your $15 an hour right there. You know, everybody complains, oh, you can't do it. Get rid of energy, and you can. You know, that's the thing. So it's pretty interesting, independent energy, and it's the framework for everything. Like, it's the precursor for the second coming. It solves 11 of the 16 world's problems, including purifying the oceans again, and it's the base framework for it all. It grants us the ability to use these technologies openly.
Right on, Peter. Thank you very much for
Yeah, that's about it.
presentation.
That was a good little spiel. Like, what, 2 hours? Fuck, I tell you. But independent energy is a dense subject, right? And that's what was the hardest part about it all, was the putting it in layman's terms, right? So that's why it takes 6 council meetings just to get a letter of support, because you should have seen it at the start when they first heard about independent energy and its definition. You could hear crickets. Perfect presentation. They love it. And they numerous times they say, oh, we love the presentation, but whoop. So that's what Illuminate the Way does, is it's like in your face saying, flip the page, this does that. Flip the page, this does that. Simple as that. Very simple, very easy. It's, you know, the next step. It really is the next step. Here, I'll pull up chat. I'm good at the screen share there. I see like Bullet in Los Angeles. Yeah, how'd they like the rain? Now, the funny thing about that was I actually predicted the low going down there because it's actually by design. The geometric energy device slash plasma device I have outside actually did that, and that happened on November 2nd. I had confirmation that it actually threw off their perpetual hurricane. It broke the weather machine, and I had confirmation of that their weather machine fritzed out because of that negative capacitance burst. And it was even caught on YouTube. Here, I'll quickly pull it up on YouTube here. Oh, or can we show that? I'm not sure if we can show it or not. It's Predictix. It's I'll type it in chat here. You can check it out. Okay, there it is. It's a weather forecasting. They're really good. Oh yeah, you know that flooding is not from them. They're not. They've been trying to block it. That lows and stuff coming in. They've been using high pressures to do it. So I could even here. I can do something for you guys. Just 1 second here. I'll show you. And this is a very good program, and I'll show you what's going on with the storm here. Just 1 sec. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to share the screen. Now this we don't have to worry about. I can do whatever with this. Okay, now here's a program. Here's a program I like to use because it's very good, like absolutely very good. So here's what we're seeing. Here's the particle formations. Okay, so there's what we're seeing. There's the wind. This is on wind right now. So there's the wind. We're at the ECM west front, 12-kilometer distance. This is the global forecasting system down here. There's the North American. So right now it's going about 20, 30 kilometers an hour. There's that. Let's switch it to precipitation. Here we go. So there we go. Now, before on the 7th and 8th, all of this was in red, and that's where they got a lot of things. But it's not when you look at the scale on the fine point, what happened, like let's go back a little bit. And now you see, so look at that wind, that's 70 kilometers, and it's been going like this. Before, there was a big spire sitting here just spinning and is whipping typhoon after typhoon. That was the whole geoengineering program, was to rape moisture out of the north and south hemispheres and deposit it in the equator, and so they could fuel their perpetual hurricane machines. Now what's happened ever since November 2nd is that machine actually broke, and a lot of the flow is actually reversed because that negative capacitance discharge sparked the Earth's auto moisture redistribution process. So that's what's happening now, is 5 to 10 years of moisture that just got robbed from us is being deposited in within a short amount of time. So that's what you're going to get California. Hey, hard to have fire in a mudslide, right? So the fires are created, of course, direct energy weapon. You can go on WikiLeaks and look up electro laser, and it'll tell you right there. Look at BC. Now the news forecasts were saying, oh, it's lightning, dry lightning. Well, you can go on WikiLeaks. Actually, let's do that, and I'll show you. Okay, it's real quick here, and it's on, like, all this is, yeah, definitely. Windy.com is a good interface. It does, as you can see here, the different satellites and everything. You can go CO2. Oh, I want to show you quick. I want to show you what the Earth looks like. It almost looks like it's burning. Here, we'll do CO2 concentration. Look, this is CO2, okay? Concentration of the Earth. Right here. Look at that. China was actually, a few months ago, it was red right here, but it looks like burning cesspool, right? Like, look at the east seaboard. Look at all that. That's all CO2 getting swirled around. Look at China, India, Korea, and all that down there. So it's a pretty good program. It's one I use a lot to forecast. It's actually better than a lot of forecasters and the meteorological tools they use. This actually compiles all the data. So it's a good one for you guys to, for all the weathers. It does waves, it does currents. You can even see the currents. Here, watch. Put on the currents. You can see the currents. You can do everything with this. Wind gusts, you name it. It does it. Sea temperature, normal temperatures. It's an overlay that you can use. So it'll help you guys out for oh, I could totally break it down. I can show you what we did with the pressure system. You look at here, high pressure, 126. You see a lot of that. What was happening is actually there was a bunch of high pressures here, and one big high pressure actually periodically going over the whole continent, and that's them doing it. Like, there's a tower here, there's a tower there, like big ones that can do that type of electromagnetic radiation. And it's the highs that they use because it blocks the lows. And now what I've been doing with the device is that I've been switching high, low, and it does some pretty powerful ones, like in the thousands. So it was pushing their wall of defense around, so a low could slip in and a low could slip in here, and it changed this current go this way for the auto redistribution of moisture instead of going this way. like watch, I'll show you on I'll just do this real quick. Let's see, where is it? There it is. Okay, now it should show the new tab, shouldn't it? Oh, why is it loading? Oh yeah, hacker deterrent. Forgot that. There you go. This is hacker deterrent. This is a good program for stopping hackers, stopping spying, ads, everything like that as well. CloudFront, yes. Okay, here's Mimic. You guys can see that, right? Okay, so as you can see here, the red, like it used to be back in November, even October, you can look up archive data and you'll see a thick line of red. Like by thick, I mean like from the 10 to the 10, 20 to the 20, thick line of red, and nothing around here. So the auto redistribution of moisture that's been started by that negative capacitance burst, which is about half the strength of their strongest satellite, because their strongest satellite does about 12.9 microfarad, and that burst was about 4.8 or so it was a good percentage of at least 30-40% of that power, and it's only a couple feet. It's only a little device, so with some resonators and stuff, so very powerful. And now you'll see this wicking, and that's what's going on with these weird winds, is it's not them doing it. They're in defense right now. Their machine's broke. They're trying to, and what are we going to do? And I've been pushing more systems. I changed the flow from going this way to go this way back to us for the redistribution of moisture, because it was just ripping moisture from the north hemisphere going into the equator. It was going like this. But now it's whipping that moisture back by doing this back current. So we'll get some winds for a little bit. It's not like Armageddon at all. It's just the redistribution from years of moisture being robbed from us is pretty much the basis of the whole geoengineering project. And then there's Project Bluebeam and all that stuff with the holograms and the ultrasaturation of the nanoparticles. And that's the great thing, though, too, that affects plasma, especially, is the nano aluminum. And the reason why is because naturally air has a neutral charge. There's no charge in air naturally. But because the ultrasaturation of nanometallic particles, especially aluminum, which is a transductant material, which means it takes on whatever property is put on, greater property is put across it, it goes into a weak millivolt positive charge, usually around 3 to 5 millivolts, which is bad for us and bad for pretty much anything, living thing that breathes air. And that's why the trees are getting destroyed. Not only the acidity of the soil from the saturation, all that stuff, but yeah, it messes up with even DNA programming and resonance and everything. So, but it's a signal amplifier as well. And the more we breathe in, we have more of those metals in us, we amplify, and that's the whole thing. So it amplifies the air, and that's how they were doing all these massive signals and stuff like that. It's because of the ultrasaturation. But because of that negative capacitance burst, which one of the things about nano aluminum especially is because it's a transductant property. If you can go over 3, the positive charge that's on it by using augmentation, then you can actually manipulate those surrounding particles to do what you want instead of what they want. So, that's the cool thing about that. But it also, the main thing why it affects plasma is because of the resonance it provides. It's not a pure resonance that naturally neutral air is. It affects it. It can be programmed easier. There's a lot of evil things in the ultrasaturation, from nanofilaments and fibers, which can invade your lungs even to where dust can't even go, to demonic particles, alien human hybrid blood cells. I've actually cultured in the device outside about a week ago. I should have got some pictures, but a deer knocked it over the one night. I was going to put it into a little container. I swear to God, it was an alien worm, because it was in a caustic environment with a crystal and the resonator on it, and a crystal in a crystal glass that has geometric shape on it, in a crystal glass in the middle of the pyramid, connected to the resonator. And the environment in it was actual first wash plasma CO2 water, so there's a bit of potassium hydroxide in the salt water content as well. And apparently from the electricity and all the negative DC and stuff like that, and the rain falling into it, which is embedded with the chemicals and alien human hybrid blood cells and stuff like that, it actually grew a worm and it was hard to tell whether it was just bonding of particles through the electrostatic negativity or it was an actual organism. I accidentally cut it in half when I wiggled the thing because the crystal cut it in half by accident, and it seemed to actually react, like move, but not everything in there. Like the particles were almost in stasis. They're not moving at all. It was almost like a liquid but a gel. No particles were moving at all in there, and the thing moved. And then I believe it died because it changed color, but you could look at it closely and you could almost see a little digestive system. So it could have been a little alien worm there, living in a plasmatic caustic environment, especially, and this partially acidic due to the ultrasaturation from the rain and the chemicals in that. So it's a pretty interesting topic, but that's pretty much the whole weather thing is they just put all the moisture in the equator to harness everything. So now the wicking process is starting, as you see here. This is the wicking process. So we're going to get a few storms for a month or whatever, a few months. It's going to be good. We're going to have no more drought, I can tell you that. But it's not natural. All the snow is natural. All this rain is natural. It's just redisposition of moisture. That's it. It's the Earth on auto redistribution. That's what's happened. We started the Earth's auto redistribution. So instead of an ice age, which it is cold, it's not going to be an ice age. It's not going to be that, even in the grand solar minimum. But still, it's never to that proponents. So you look at the last ice age, there was a lot of volcanoes and stuff going off. But we don't have that right now. So it's not that.
Okay, does anybody got any questions for Peter here?
Yeah, I guess I'm rambling on. I can go on for...
I know you can go on for hours and hours, but people have to get a bit of a break here, and we have to see if there's anybody else that has some...
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't mean to hijack the show here.
You're doing good. Thank you, Peter. You got some good information out today.
Yeah, well, it's a terraquat, I tell you.
Yeah, well, that's it. Okay, is there any questions out there? And
come on, there's got to be some questions. Like
Jay wants to know, Peter, what's the meaning of negative capacitance, please?
Here, one sec. I'll pull it up on. I'll see if I can pull it up on Facebook. I know it's hard to find online. It really is, but I had to post it to a few of the good articles on my Facebook page there. You should scroll down. They were actually quite recent within the past few weeks. I'm going to try and get Facebook here. We'll see how that goes. For a link, I will post the link when I can, if I can get in, even on the Golden Age of Dance Facebook page there for the Keshe Foundation, so you guys can see. And it's negative capacitance naturally is, especially with ferromagnetics and things like that, is tricking a capacitor to be able to discharge without meeting its requirements to enact the circuit to discharge. So you're actually tricking it to charge without needing that charge to enact the circuit to discharge. So it's a fraction, like 1% of the electricity you need to enact the capacitor to discharge and recharge again is used. So it's also used for negative capacitance is also used in harnessing energy of the earth. It's a critical thing in harnessing energy of the earth. You look at some of the air energy devices and stuff like that. They need a diode connected to the ground with capacitor there, and it's exactly the same thing as that. So it's all kind of that. So I won't hijack the show any longer. So hopefully but that's negative capacitance. You can look it up. I'll post it's on the Golden Age of Gans Facebook here again. I'm trying to get into Facebook here. I shut down Hacker Deterrent. That's why.
We did have a question from BJ that says, what set Peter on the road to light?
Well, that's the funny, isn't it a fancy thing how illuminate the way illuminates the way, right? So I actually didn't get into this really until I got onto the island here. So it's definitely divine ordinance. I definitely can tell you that. But it's, I don't know, I pretty much explained it all. It's, the thing we need to operate in the open without being destroyed and burnt and killed and all that. So, it's the way. It's what we need to embrace, I guess, to move on and even to have the chance at world peace. Because once you take out oil, which isn't needed, but you need something to replace it. So there you go. Alternative energy can't do that because it's only supplemental. It always has been and always will be. You can never ever get fucking sustainable energy from alternative energy. It's always been independent energy, and that's why independent energy is always the four principles and technological trees have always been suppressed until now, until June 30th, 2017. The official vetting and validation of independent energy, its associated principles and definitions, as well as the associated two-phase instruction manual. So that gets that one. What's this? A giant mag gravs. Well, that's the thing, is that as it stands, Rick, has Keshe put out his over Unity mag grav yet, or is it still just power augmentation?
There's no self-sufficient generator available yet. No.
So when the time comes for Plasma to do over Unity, then it'd be classified as an independent energy device, as that's one of the base proponents of fuelless, emissionless, source continuous renewable energy. So it's pretty much just there. You follow the definitions and stuff like that. It's pretty straightforward, honestly. But I thought Keshe was going to come out with the new over Unity unit. I thought he was going to do that a couple months ago there.
Well, it'll be released probably to Ghana first, and it all depends on the world stage and the situation that's going on. He's keeping that as his ace card and as a way of leverage, basically. Sorry, I'm not hearing you all of a sudden there. Maybe your battery ran out? Or...
No, it was on mute.
Oh, okay.
It's like he's doing leveraging, like the value of the granting value that's granted from the letters of support to the value of independent energy, and that's leveraged as well to get the public access to the no cost infrastructure upgrade, but of course you can get around it by just paying for it, but before the program enacts. But it's the same thing as using the leverage of that to do that. But he'll actually have more to leverage if he embraces independent energy for the operating classification, because it'll grant the extra leverage of not just being singled out with just plasma technology, but being amongst the consortium of the four principles. So it'll give him a bigger foothold, to operate under.
May or may not occur. Yeah, it depends on if we see a bunch of people coming out with new inventions and so on in the next while, which is entirely possible. Things are really cracking up and opening up in the world and whatnot. One last question. Steven says, where did he get the pyrite?
Oh, you can get iron pyrite from anywhere. It's commonly known as fool's gold. So
you can get it on eBay or even at your local mineral shop.
Yeah, you can get it anywhere. A lot of the mineral shops and stuff have it. Art shops, stuff like that have fool's gold and shit like that. But that's all it is, iron pyrite. But it has many. They might say, oh, it's worthless. But did you know that all iron pyrite contains gold? It might not be lots, but it contains gold. It's one of the base substructures of the bonding of the iron and sulfite. Iron and sulfur needs the gold in there to be able to bond accordingly. So there is minute gold. Like it'd take, ounces of iron pyrite to get a little bit of gold, and you'd have to, forge it right. So it's almost like transmutation, almost to a point of that, because you have to grind it to a fine powder. So it's almost like transmutation, but there is gold in iron pyrite, and that's what makes it such a great use, like in this battery. See, look, okay, I got the reflection. So you see that one right there, the black one. Okay, so that's the one insulated copper wire, and it goes right into the capacitance right here, into this composite, the iron pyrite with the powdered quartz crystal. So that's what that is, iron pyrite and powdered quartz crystal. So an iron pyrite with zinc actually, and a bit of salt water, creates electricity as well. You can look that up as well. So there's actually, I can see if I can try to get it in here, but you see that little shorter kind of shadow in there? That's actually a wire with zinc wrapped around it. Now it doesn't have. This is already out of date. I already got working on another one where the zinc in between, because it's just straight wrap around the wire, about 4 or 5 tight twists around bare wire, and that doesn't touch the bottom layer here. It's straight into the electrolytic gel. Now, it's kind of like a crystally gel kind of thing. So there's just about a few millimeters of CO2 plasma water in there. It can be any type to get the plasmatic effects. So, and this thing, I tell you, you hold it and you can feel, and it's cold. It's always cold. You can take it, you can run it under hot water and give it 2 seconds or a couple minutes, it'll be cold again. Negative DC energy is cold. That's what they call a solid state cooling. You'll see that coming out in fridges and stuff like that. And negative DC energy is great because it can also be easier to be multiphasic with the phase ripple as well. So that's good too. But that's what you'll see in air conditionings. You know, you can just get a computer thing like this. Honestly, get a computer. I could hook this up to this, and this would actually turn into a little air conditioner. Because and depending on how because this can do AC, negative DC, and regular DC at the same time, as well as capacitate and transist. So that's the funny thing about it. And you can actually see, like, at some points, it'll charge itself as well. So it'll go down to the base, and then you can see it on the multimeter charge back up. Like here,
they've had self-charging batteries like that actually for a couple hundred years now. There's one battery that's still working after 200 years of I think it's a mineral type battery, and it basically recharges itself.
Fool's gold is a mineral, and that's the funny thing, is it's not a metal, it's a mineral. Isn't that a funny thing? Iron pyrite is a mineral, not a metal, because even the iron's in there. But it's just like with our blood and how
most of the metals of the planet are in a different form. They're oxides in the crust of the earth. Basically, it's 90% or more of the crust is oxides. So
yeah,
it's interesting. Hardly any metals are found except for gold in its native state.
So I was actually going to do a big one of these. It's right now, this is doing 0.87 millivolts of DC, negative DC and DC, depending on how you want to hook it up, as well as the 1.2 volts AC. So I haven't put a big load across it yet, like to do it as a capacitor, but because it can transist and capacitate at the same time, then it can do multiphasic adaptation. So I can use this for negative capacitance, for harvesting earth energy. You want things like this. This would replace the diode that you'd need to do it.
We have to see some applications of that in the next while. Maybe you can hook it up, and maybe it's the kind of thing that you have to make
a battery pack up. And
right, I was going to say maybe 100 cells or something, whatever it takes to get enough amperage behind it, enough power behind it to power something. Or is it more plasmatic?
It's more, I haven't done full test. Like, I just built it fucking yesterday. I just built this actually last night. I built a few of them, and then this is the actual dual core, where there's 2 zincs and 2 insulateds down to the capacitor here, so that if I want to hook it up for capacitance level, the long wires here, as you can see, some are long, some are short. These ones are the ones that are embedded into the composite structure. And then these short ones are the zinc wrapped copper wires embedded into the electrolytic crystalline gel, which is just very, very coarse sea salt and Epsom salts, so magnesium sulfate, whatever. So that's what that is. It's the electric and some CO2 plasma water. You don't do too much, just a little bit, a few milliliters for this size of thing. I'm actually going to do a bigger one and put some more, do a pancake zinc coil in it and try it like that. Like, these are cylinder coils. They're just wraps. You bare the wire and you wrap it tightly around it. Then you hot glue both ends and you stick it in. That's all that is. And it's just hot glued at the top here. So it's hot glued inside. I just put the tape on here just for cosmetic purposes, I guess. And then, as you can see with some of the reflection, You can see the separation. Now I tried to make it within, you want to try and make it uniform within, from the distances between the walls and the electrolytic crystalline substance. You want to make those zincs equally spaced apart, as well as try to make as close to equally spaced apart from the walls, due to the differential resonance of the glass on the inside to the glass on the outside. You can modify power flow. And then, so what you do is when you put it, you do all this before you actually put the thing into the actual container. Like, it's already filled and everything. You just put the thing in, screw the cap on, and there you go. But you do all this with the cap and the wires before you do it, and it makes it a lot easier. And all you do is you just use a little blob of hot glue to separate the four in an equal space, because you use a blob, and because it's a sphere, then you can easily do equal parts, and then it'll give it that structure where this is actually quite durable. Other than the glass breaking if I threw it, this is actually quite durable. The wires, I can adjust them how I want to, and they won't affect the inside variation of it. It's very stable. I don't want to mess with the camera too much, but you know, it's producing. So I think it's more of a capacitance level than, I haven't put a big amperage across it yet to see what it does and see if it holds that, and if it can program the actual CO2 water and the catalytic mixture, see if it can actually use the CO2 water to actually program the catalytic mixture for, you know, to see if there's any type of efficiency increase or anything, or resonance change where we can modify it. Like in my workshop there, as a funny note, is that I actually figured out how to make nano copper in the powder form. And I find the best way is you can use a copper pipe or a copper wire or a copper plate, and you can actually use the degradation frequency with a couple electrodes you can put onto it. And using a couple amps power, you can actually use the degradation frequency of copper, where it shakes apart at the molecular level, and it'll literally start turning. You'll see it vibrating, and you'll see it start turning into dust, and it'll eventually go into dust. And you just do the standard nano coating mixture, some potassium hydroxide, and, you know, so a little bit of that, and put it in a jar and give it a shake, and, you know, there you go. And I'll show it to. I'll do a picture of it and put it on Golden Age of Gans.
Okay, thank you, Peter.
Anyway,
Any questions for Peter before we let him go here? Anybody? I thought there was another. JS, is there a way to make a capacitor deplete slowly instead of all at once? Yes, there are ways, Jay. You can look up capacitor and so on. We're not hearing you, Peter.
You can, the most common ways would just be using a smaller diode going to the capacitor, so it only permits, so you don't max out the capacitor, as well as using negative capacitance as well. But sometimes capacitors are really tricky to try and slow down the discharge rate, because really they're designed to charge and discharge very, very, very rapid, hundreds of times, thousands of times a millisecond. You know, that's what they're designed to. So this capacitor can discharge 5 million times in its life cycle. But when you actually calculate that out, that's quite a long time. So it's, capacitors are more, the whole design about it is to charge and discharge rapidly, because a lot of earth energies and stuff require that in order to tap into it. And that's a good part of negative capacitance, because it requires a lot less. And plus it's negative frequency, which earth energy is. Then you can tap into it, but it needs that. Like, take your human body, for example. You grab 2 electrodes and your body will build 100% resistance to that electricity immediately. But if you grab the same 2 electrodes that are on a diode or a capacitor or anything like that, you know, it's a microfarads, and it's discharging like this, your body doesn't have any resistance. And that's why pulse electromagnetism or pulse magnetism is used in like Rife frequencies and stuff, is for healing, is used in that, because it's pulsing, because your body doesn't build resistance to that. But if it's constant, it builds resistance, just like a capacitor. Your body is a capacitor and a resistor, but mainly a capacitor. So because it stores and discharges energy. So on that note, capacitors are more designed for rapid discharge. If you want to do something like that, you know, it's Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, it still depends on the circuit anyway, because if you were to put, for example, a steel wrench across the terminals of a normal DC 12-volt car battery, you'll find it discharges quite rapidly, enough to heat up the wrench to red hot, actually, if it doesn't blow up the battery. And before that, and you get a rapid discharge, but it's only because it's a short circuit. And if you were to have a high resistance like a light bulb, then the light bulb would glow instead. So
or a stove element would glow with the rheostat and the
so
resistance.
you could set up a circuit with the capacitor, so it's a slower discharge, let's say, with resistors and that kind of thing. Anyway, okay, so thank you, Peter. Very good. Excellent information. And
I thought it was pretty razzle dazzle.
Nice suit too.
Well, you know what's funny? I'm not wearing any pants.
We didn't need to know that.
No, I'm joking. I'm actually wearing sweatpants, but it's just the top half here.
Yeah.
And I kind of find it, especially when you're working at home and stuff like that. I kind of find it easier. Like I've been typing all day and stuff like that, doing videos and stuff like that, getting everything ready. What I showed you there was just actually a small tidbit of the video I'm working on, which will probably be about a half hour or so long. That will be published through the YouTube and the Facebook. I'll also put it on Golden Age of Gantz for the Keshe Foundation to see it as well. So what I showed you guys today was just a very tidbit about, that's just a little bit of what will be shown in that video. And it'll be going further into light and, showing the clips from the council meetings and the different things. And, so it'll be a full, so you can take it and say, oh, this is independent energy. Watch this, and that's what it'll pretty much be coming down to. So.
Right on. Okay. Does anybody else have something they would like to bring up, or question, comment, or presentation, or other such thing? What do we have here? All still out there? Hello?
I think I melted everybody's brain.
I know my brain's pretty melted. We've been into it for
independent energy has
3.5 hours
habit
here.
of doing that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's true. So, okay, we have nothing else to present. Maybe we'll end the show for today. Nothing else to say. No other comments. Somebody wanting your YouTube link. I don't know. Do you have a YouTube link, Peter, or is it just in Facebook?
Yes, I do have actual page under Milk Marine Energy Productions Limited on YouTube. I only have the one independent energy device video on there, but that's why I'm doing these other videos to correlate everything, and then I'll post that on there as well as Facebook and things like that. So, and all the links will be posted as well with that corresponding to everything. So we should have that.
Okay, yeah, let me just repost that. I'm trying to find it way back in the comments here. Yeah, I can't find it. There's way too many comments here by Elper, and I can't even find anything anymore.
Hi, Rick.
Hello, Jalal. Hi, Jalal.
Yeah, hello. Hello, everyone. I would like to say, Peter, this is really amazing. Thank you. It is melting. It's melted, but thank you.
Oh, it's trust me, independent energy is quite. You try discussing that in 5 minutes in front of council, and then you'll get some pretty crazy reactions.
Yeah. Yeah, I
For
watched
sure.
your presentation. It was interesting. Took a lot to stand up there and say those things because they're terms that most people don't integrate into their lives. We weren't taught about plasma and other types of devices in our schooling and whatnot.
Yeah, there. Jay just put my in chat there. Just put the Facebook to mine, and you'll see that if you
Good.
just
Thank you,
scroll down
Jay.
my profile, you'll see there's references to negative capacitance in the articles with the universities and stuff that have been. Technically, they say it's still theoretical, and they're working in that. So it's not, but it's all with ancient technology and stuff like that. It's not theoretical. They think it's theoretical, but it's easy to do. So it'll show you, and then there's corresponding articles. When you see the first one and you click on the first link that's in my profile there, then you scroll down and then you can click at the bottom of the page. There's another link that goes to another article corresponding to that, which grants further information on negative capacitance when they initially detected it. And still thought even today, it's still thought it's theoretical, but it mentions everything about what it is and ferroelectromagnetics and things like that. And yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing, but it's a crucial thing for harvesting energy from the earth. Negative capacitance is definitely, it replaces so much equipment. This little thing replaces so much equipment for harvesting energy. So I'm going to actually do
Let me show your picture because you're not showing anybody right now. I have to spotlight you and put you on the. There we go.
So this, I designed it for the device outside. So I'm going to do about 6 to 8 of these in series, and then we'll see and have the output, because you have to go underneath the edge of the device or else it'll interfere with the fields from the edges around it. So you have to go do all your wiring underneath everything. So this will be inside the pyramid and the resonators and everything. So this will be inside that area with those wires. So it'll be all, let's say 8 of them together, all wired together nicely, hooked to the device, the independent energy device, as well as at the other end of the units together will go underneath and to where you'd actually draw the electricity out of that energy, out of the independent energy device. So you'd actually be harnessing earth energy. It also controls the weather as well. I guess seen clouds form right above it. I've seen, like you'd see on Day After Tomorrow, when the freezing effect happens, when you see the troposphere fall down the sky and there's a big open area. Well, that's when you go to Predictix there on YouTube to the November 2nd broadcast, or November 3rd, they actually draw a circle exactly right around, and you put Sook right in the middle of it, and it shows the low, and the person says it was a high level energy there. Yeah, I know, because I watched the clouds go down the wall of clouds. So, and that's why we got the cold snap. So you can actually correlate the fluctuation of the north field and how it's doing the big wave pattern now. You can actually correlate that with the negative capacitance burst from the device. You can actually see it pulled. They got that on satellite imaging, pulling right to Sook. You see the low right there, and it goes whoop, and you can see it. It's what gave it that big. So now it's doing that, creating the wicking pattern that we saw in Mimic. It's pushing all the moisture back into the northern and southern hemisphere by wicking it away from the equator where it has all been concentrated.
I think I need a break. Unless someone else has something they want to present. Hello. Now's your big chance. Going once, going twice. I think we've had enough for today, perhaps. A lot of information, a lot of stuff to chew on there, and enough for if you're running a municipality. Maybe you'd like to tune into this particular message today in the Keshe Plasma Reactor group. Lots of good information there. And hopefully municipalities around the world will connect, and with light as the goal, you might say. Connect and enlightenment.
Knowledge and stability. Knowledge and stability.
Knowledge is stability in a way. But it might take some instability to rock the boat before we get the boat floating properly. So be it. It's all part of the game. Alright. I'm going to cut out the live stream for today. Thanks everybody for attending Keshe Plasma Reactor Group for Wednesday, January 10th, now 2018. And stay tuned for the Knowledge Seekers Workshop coming up on Thursday at the usual time, 9 a.m. Central European Time. And I'll have the plasma group as well next week. And next week we'll start the private teachings, as well as I think we'll be having a couple more public teachings happening next week as well. So a lot going on. Stay tuned and just watch the usual places to find out what's happening. Alright, end the live stream, and we'll